Regular meeting conducted, excuse me. Good evening, everyone. City of Southfield regular meeting conducted as a committee of the whole will now come to order. Mr. Clerk, if you can please do a roll call.
Yes, sir. Just as a reminder, the recording is on, so if you don't want it on the record, don't say it. Councilwoman Banks.
Present.
Councilwoman Bland.
Here.
Councilman Brightwell. Councilwoman Haynes.
Present.
Councilwoman Pro Tem Hogue.
Here.
Councilman Mandelbaum.
Present.
Council President Hicks.
Here.
Sir, you'll have a quorum.
Thank you, sir. Communications. The Southfield City Council has established the following rules of procedure for all speakers. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the council. Each speaker is responsible for his or her comments, and the City of Southfield does not, by permitting such remarks, support, endorse, or accept the content thereof as being true or accurate. No speaker may make personal or impertinent attacks upon any officer, employee, or city council member or other elected official that is unrelated to the matter in which they perform their duties. No person shall use abusive or threatening language toward any individual when addressing the city council. Any person who violates this section shall be directed by the presiding officer to be ordered. If a person addressing the council refuses when so directed, such person may be deemed by the presiding officer to have committed a breach of peace by disrupting and impeding the orderly conduct of the public meeting of the city council, and may be ordered by the presiding officer to leave the meeting. If the person refuses to leave as directed, the presiding officer may direct any law enforcement officer who is present to escort the violator from the meeting. The council may not provide responses to public comment during the meeting. If you provided your contact information when you signed up for public communication, the city will provide a more formal response to you in the near future should it be needed. The council may respond to comments at the end of communications if they're able to do so. First person, Denise Stargan. If you can please come to the podium, state your name and whether you're a Southfield resident.
Podium's right here.
There's someone put the, I have the box here. The first speaker, that's one, the person to the president. What happened to the chair that was here?
Would you like to use my shot?
Thank you. Where's the blanket? Good evening,
Good evening.
Southfield City Council and the Mayor of Southfield. My issue is public nuisance of feral cats and health and safety. My name is Denise Stargell, 21235 Winchester, Southfield, Michigan. What is a feral cat? A feral cat is an uncivilized wild cat that may become comfortable around people who regularly feast the cats. Feral cats can carry rabies, ticks, and other diseases that may spread to humans and other animals. Cats do not go through menopause. A female cat is fertile their entire lives. They can have up to 30 kittens a year. Southfield Code does not have a specific limit on the total number of cats a resident can own. However, residents must license all cats over 6 months of old and avoid creating a public nuisance. This code needs to change now. The cats are being fed at 21345 Winchester. I have pictures as they passed out. The pictures show that they are living in my backyard at 21235 Winchester. I have 10,000 to 14,000 hits on my video camera of cats going and coming in my backyard all times of the day. They go and come and go eat at 21345 Winchester. In my yard, I have 30 to 50 cats. They have destroyed my private property in my backyard, my deck, my waterfall, my patio furniture, my window screens, my grill covers, my flowers, my lawns, my backyard's accessories, my cement porch, and all my foundation, and the list goes on. The smell, the noise, they killed the birds, they killed all the brown squirrels, the increased population of wildlife in my backyard. I have raccoons, I have possums, I have groundhogs digging all around my yard and in the neighbor's yard. As a resident in Southfield, this is not right. This is not fair that my private property is being destroyed because another resident of the city of Southfield choose to feed these feral cats daily. This must stop now. As a resident of the city of Southfield, I have lived here for over 28 years.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. So just a quick note, Mayor, typically we respond after. We do have this item coming back to one of our subcommittees for discussion on next steps. This has been a long-standing discussion topic from various constituents, but we're going to address what we do as a next step in our committee, and we'll make sure that you get updated.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, we have one more comment.
And also, there is a limit as to how many cats a resident can have. Not saying it's correct, but we are gonna look at it. The maximum number is 6. But we'll look at that as well.
Thank you. And my time is up.
Cameron Fink, please stay with yourself a resident.
Hello, my name is Cameron Fink. I'm a Southfield resident. I'm a founding member of the Southfield Neighbors Action Committee. I emailed all of you to invite us to join us for a community conversation about ICE in Southfield. With the recent violent abduction of a Southfielder at Tel 12, a lot of people are interested to know what's happening in Southfield and what's happening with ICE in Southfield. Unfortunately, there has not been a lot of publicity or media coverage about ICE's legal office at One Town Square down the street, or the numerous ICE abductions in our town. I emailed all of you. I heard back from a couple of you. I just wanted to bring a flyer so you can be invited in person July 22nd, next week, here at 115 Parks and Rec, to join us for a community conversation. We have special guests, Rashida Tlaib. We've got Dr. Patricia Talley coming to speak, as well as my wife, the co-founder of Southfield Neighbors Action Committee, and other local activists. We'd love to have you so you can join us and be part of this community conversation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Peter Shack. So I can't see the last name clearly. First name Peter.
I'm Peter, but I'm not speaking.
Did you sign up when you were
I
outside?
just signed the thing. I didn't realize
Okay.
what I was signing.
Thank you.
Your face is bad.
Stephen.
Galt.
Please come to the podium. Stay where yourself with it.
Hi, I'm here to address the proposed sidewalks on Mount Vernon. I live on the side of the street where there have never been sidewalks. And it's part of why I moved there. Most of them are all seniors. We don't want the liability and the cost or anything. Mount Vernon's a busy enough street as it is. I don't need more in our front yards. We have the signatures of all the residents along that strip, except for 2 vacant homes and one guy that won't come out of his house. You know what I mean? That's our main concern. And plus, they're already driving fast enough down there. It's nuts.
You want them or you don't want them?
Do not.
You do not want them.
It's the only thing that gives us a little bit of separation from the street. And privacy is very nice.
Thank you, sir. The council will be discussing this item later on this evening. Please stay. Adrian Singh, stop.
Hello, my name is Adrian Singh. Speaking of my, please. Hello, my name is Adrian Singh. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. I'm a resident of the Sharon Meadows subdivision. My address is 29395 Sharon Lane. We are complaining because this grass on 12 Mile Road is not being cut. They keep saying that we must have a mandatory HOA that's responsible for cutting the grass on 12 Mile Road, and it is so overgrown and looks so terrible. We have called the city of Southfield, Island, Southfield, we have called the Works Department, we have called the county division in Oakland County, multiple residents, many of us have been calling for months, not just today. And the grass is still very overgrown in many of the areas. Some of the neighbors, the residents who do live on that corner, there's a fence there, then on the outside of that fence, according to the street side where the the traffic is, that should be the city's responsibility to cut that grass. So we're trying to identify how we can get the city to cut the grass along 12 Mile Road. There are many areas where it just looks so terrible, all up and down 12 Mile Road, which is one of our main streets. And they're refusing to cut the grass, saying the HOA must be responsible for it. Many of us are, I'm 75, many of us are 80, 75. We've tried to do a little community thing there and cut sometimes, but we cannot be responsible for the city's responsibility. And why should we be, many of the homeowners now moving in our subdivision are paying over $10,000 in taxes. And everyone's complaining, why isn't the grass being cut on 12 Mile Road? So is that the city's responsibility? The county's responsibility to cut the grass along a main street like 12 Mile Road?
Well, are you done, ma'am?
Question, that was my question.
Okay, Mr. Mayor?
I've had numerous calls regarding this, and just again today, I approached Public Works and Code Enforcement. The answer I received was it is the homeowners that are next to 12 Mile, it's their responsibility to mow the grass.
So that's a rule somebody made up. That is not the city ordinance or city code. Why do you have to cut the grass on 12 Mile Road if there's a fence that gives you your property legal side?
I'm
and
not
next
saying
is
I
the county?
disagree with you.
No, I'm asking how do we get someone to change that if that's the case? Because we cannot be responsible for cutting all of that grass. Some of it, there are no homes along in front of those areas at all. It's just a park area and a island. And so that grass is very overgrown.
Excuse me,
We're
ma'am.
not going back and forth.
No, I'm just asking the question of,
Yeah.
is there something
And
else
I'm-
we should do
and I'm
to
telling you-
participate, to petition?
I'm telling you the answer that I got, so I'm responding to you, not that I disagree with you.
Oh, no, I did get those same answers, that's
Yeah.
that's why I'm
But this
complaining.
was the answer as recently as this afternoon that I received.
And I received that same answer at 8 o'clock this morning, and my
So-
question is,
so
I have one
ma'am-
more
so
question.
ma'am,
Yeah.
well, if you can allow us an opportunity to talk with Public Works and as a council, we'll get you a more formal response.
Okay, we were told, I have been told that it should be a recommendation that the city or the county is responsible. I just wanted to let the mayor know my response is from Works and the county.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so recommendation to be made.
Code enforcement is part of this.
We'll follow up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. McWilliams, Garland McWilliams.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
My name is Garland McWilliams, 30-year Southfield resident. And just like to bring a few things to your attention. Finally started working on Mount Vernon, and that's really appreciated. I have to take my hats off to the people involved with that, getting that project going. But there's a few problems there. The other day I was coming down Oak Park Boulevard, and this faces, I'm directly in front of Mount Vernon. And I see all the dust flying around. And usually, when you got some construction going on, they have a water truck there watering this down so it don't, you got houses there. People get, you got dust flying all over the place. on folks' houses and everything. I know that's not appreciated. So, you know, that I think that could be remedied pretty fast. And the side streets, even though we're doing Mount Vernon, we still have a big problem with, especially Pennsylvania, going down to Fairfax, and there's some huge torn up roads that, you know, spots there. Not the whole street, but just some of them. And I just don't want those to get forgotten about. And that's about all I have tonight. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. Schultz is in the audience. She's taken a note about water control.
So, Mr. Williams, did you hear what the mayor stated?
I'm sorry.
Your complaint has been noted by city engineer Lee Schultz regarding the dust.
All right, thank you. Margie Mason, please come to the podium. State where yourself for the record.
Hi, good evening. I am Margie Mason. I am the president of the Cranbrook Village Homeowners Association, also known as the CDHA. We are the largest, one of the largest, if not the largest homeowners association in Southfield. Our membership consists of 512 individual residences. Our neighborhood is north of 12 Mile up to Webster Road and west of Southfield to Westbrook. We are therefore in very close proximity to the Kroger location at 12 Mile and Evergreen. So for those people who are from Kroger, we are your customers. What a lot of people don't realize is that grocery stores operate on very slim margins. The average grocery store has a profit margin of roughly 2%. It may sound counterintuitive, but the larger the store chain, the smaller the margins. Larger stores have to appeal to a broader audience, which, while keeping their prices affordable in order to attract more customers, so more people will buy. Those stores literally make it up in volume. Kroger's average profit margin is 0.71%. Lately, due to our economic climate, stores have had to raise their prices due to higher costs, but that does not affect their profitability. And again, due to our current climate, economic climate, the demographic audiences that shop there are becoming more strapped for cash and can barely afford the increases that have already been imposed. In addition to food prices, the employees are unionized, insurance is higher, and there's an ongoing demand from the public to stay fresh and relevant, meaning employing material upgrades and remodeling and rebranding ongoingly. So it is a puzzle that has to satisfy everyone. So what do these stores do? They look for other ways to supplement their profits so they can keep existing stores operational, in this case using a fuel center. Gas stations also run on tight margins, but as a commodity, there's a little more flexibility. With discounts, etc., the gas station's margins should be about 1.5% or more than twice that of the Kroger grocery store. It is my understanding that the store at 12 Mile and Evergreen is underperforming, so this gas station subsidy is needed in order to keep the store operational. If Kroger should sell the store, we may be left with a much lower quality option, which will not reflect well in the neighborhood and the neighborhood property values. Admittedly, Kroger has made some mistakes along the way. However, their chain does not necessarily have the same, but other chains do not necessarily have the same cachet as Kroger. Say what you will, but as a national chain, Kroger will have more resources and stricter standards for quality control, given their broad audience, which is extremely important for food safety these days. In conclusion, the fuel center will subsidize the profits of the grocery store, allowing the store to remain operational. Having a national chain grocery store readily available to our residents will help to sustain all of our property values ongoingly.
Thank you, ma'am. We will be discussing Kroger later on in this meeting. So thank you for your opinion. Mr. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to remind everyone, we are in small quarters, so if you have side conversations, it becomes extremely distracting. Just to respect everyone at the podium, if you could refrain from the side conversations until this is done, I would greatly appreciate it. We have 2 fans going, it's just a little difficult to hear. Thank you.
Michael Humphrey, please come to the podium.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Michael Humphrey. My comments about police misconduct. Police came to my house, I think, May 25th, May 6th, 2025. I requested a copy of the written report and videotape. They recorded. How do I demand a copy? How do I make sure I can acquire a copy? Because I'm over the report. Who's accountable? Is there turnover? Is there police? They call tournament fairs in the city of Southfield. I'm requesting all and any other calls and information or investigation about me by the Southfield Police being given to me, because for whatever reason they saw fit to have come to my house with 4 armed men in the middle of the night with no warrant, based on a lie. The lie was based on somebody who was from Ohio, an IRS. And I talked to the people and they said, Mr. Humphrey, we made a mistake. We apologize. They treated you poorly. Not only that, they said, we want you to file a report, an IRS report, a Bill of Rights report, complaining about this particular behavior. However, the Southfield Police have done nothing. And they still harass me like I'm a criminal. I'm a taxpayer. Who do they work for? They should be talking to me, giving me news service, not their friends in Detroit. That's all I got to say. I did talk to a couple people. I haven't heard back from them yet.
Pamela Gerald.
Good evening to everyone in this room. I just wanted to remind everybody sitting at this table that the citizens are at the top of the organizational chart. Because you sit at this table or the dais, you are not better than anybody out here, because all of us taxpayers pay your salary. And this entitlement and this privilege attitude, it's going to stop, because the people don't deserve that. We have these benches and garbage cans throughout the city. Someone needs to man those garbage cans. I thought it was a great idea when we put those benches and garbage cans there, but if it's overflowing and you hear something moving around in the garbage, who wants to be sitting right there on the bench and you can smell the garbage? We need to put some kind of plastic container around it, or move the garbage a little bit away from the bench. I thought the concept was nice, but they didn't measure. They didn't think about when the garbage can is full, when it's overflowing, before they've had a chance to dump it. But the concept is great. Number 2, as the lady said, we do have some places in the city of Southfield where the grass is overgrown. I don't know if there is a policy that talks about the right-of-way. The right-of-way, from what I recall 40 years ago, that the resident is not obligated to service that part of the yard or the grass, but a lot of them do as a courtesy, but they're not obligated. They don't own the right-of-way. So whoever owns the right-of-way, it's their responsibility. And the other thing, this is a good comment. Last Tuesday, we had a concert at the Berg. We had people from Canada, Sterling Heights, Rochester, Genesee County, Detroit. That was the largest concert that we ever had. I've heard the numbers, 650, 800. I've never seen that many people, and I've been going since they started. The band was absolutely incredible. Parks and Rec kicked butt. And I don't know that you guys maybe understand what they do to the degree that they do it, but you need to toot their horns a little bit more. And I want to say beat Terry. They did a great job. We only had one problem, the toilet at the Bird. Put a sign there that says a courtesy flush. Don't put too much toilet tissue there or something. But they did a great job, great concert, and glad you're gonna have them here at City Hall because it's big enough. Thank you.
So Terry, I do, what Ms. Jill said, you all have been doing a flurry of activity, not just that concept, but with the events for children. I appreciate.
We can't hear you back there, we're not talking in the mic.
As I was saying.
Okay, well, you don't want us to hear it, I'm not hearing.
I appreciate the work that you're doing for the public. You have a variety of activities. So the event that was held last week, the items that you're doing for kids, I think that's a definite step up for, just focusing on one demographic. I do want to have Abdul come and talk to the other concern that was mentioned regarding the trash can. Yeah. Well, at the stop. The question was, who's manning the bench garbage cans? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, we install them and DPW's been cleaning them in association with Smart.
The recycling ones?
No, not the recycling ones, the ones that are at bus stops.
Okay.
So, yeah,
No, they're
we do have.
benches, where the benches are.
Where the benches are,
Yes.
yes.
That's not a bus stop.
The bench, the trash can next to the benches.
Yeah, so we do have staff emptying those on a regular basis. It may be that some of them filled up more quickly than anticipated, but staff are on a regular schedule on that. I'll go back and take a look to make sure there's no gals.
Joel, in the last year, we've dedicated a full-time person to daily picking up these trash cans, emptying them. In addition, council also authorized a device that allowed us to increase the capacity of those trucks. And I believe we did that early this year. So I know in the last 2 years, everything's been mapped, routed, and there's actually a daily pickup. And she's out there, I've seen her out there very early in the morning, 6, 7 in the morning this time of year.
I think it would be helpful because we don't want to practice this president. If some of the residents, I know when you're driving around, I drive around too, and I see people, they actually do, which is a good thing because at least they're not putting it on the ground, they're dumping in them at different times. So maybe if we can get some help from the residents to call in and let us know, because it's, it's one thing to complain, but it's very difficult for the departments to see everything that goes on, just as it is the parks. I was just passing by one of the parks recently, and it was way past the time that the park should be closed. So there are people that are coming that, I won't say they don't live here, but I will say that it seems that they don't have the mindset that we do to care for our parks, which is sometimes when they're out late at night doing those things, trashing or what have you, it's hard to have it clean by the morning when they're doing it at night. So we could get some help from the residents. Just call the anonymous number, call the council, just say whoever, because we can't see it all. We try to see what we can, and the departments are doing what they can to do that. We need the help of the residents. We really, really do. You need you all. I don't have the problem with the complaining, but call. Please make the calls so we can see it and address it better.
And if I just further, Park Services handles the parks, picks up every morning. Department of Public Works picks up the cans in the street right-of-ways. And Terry, how many are there now? How many bench? I know I'm catching you, but how many got?
Probably a few hundred.
Few hundred. And that number is just, as we've been building this infrastructure, we've now dedicated a full-time person to this.
The other gentleman who, I think he's gone, we'll follow with him offline. That concludes communications. Items to be discussed. Item A. Section 11 in City Hall water main improvement phase 2.
So the Department of Public Works is requesting authorization and enter into a contract for the replacement of water mains at City Hall and areas in section 11, as shown in the attached maps in your packets. Section 11 is located between 12 and 13 Mile Roads and Evergreen and Southfield Roads. The water mains being replaced are old and have a history of breaks, and some are 6-inch water mains that are being upgraded to 8-inch. Phase 1 of the section 11 water main replacements was completed in 2024. This is phase 2. Requests for bid were advertised and 6 bids were received, with the low bidder being Brico Excavating Company of Oak Park, Michigan, at $8,869,312. They were chosen as the qualified low bidder for the project per the recommendation of Hubble, Roth, and Clark's based on their past experience with Brico. This is Brico's first project with the city in recent history. HRC will be providing the design support during construction on this project. Funding for the project in the amount of $7 million was included in the 25-26 budget from the previous fiscal year. As we weren't able to get the project encumbered in time, those funds have lapsed into fund balance, so we are also asking for a budget adjustment to pull those funds back from the fund balance. So total expenditures are $9,219,312, where Brico's cost is $8,869,312, and HRC's design support fees, design support during construction fees are $350,000. Funds of $2,069,312 are available in the current fiscal year budget in the water and sewer land improvements account, and additional funds are requested through the budget adjustment in the amount of $7,150,000 from the fund balance. So we're requesting that council authorize this, and we're requesting a Rule 10 so that we can move the project forward more quickly.
So, Mr. Director, I've seen 3 hands so far. You have Councilmember Mandelbaum, Brightwell, and Bland who have comment and no question.
My question is more about the City Hall. Do we know what areas of City Hall, and will that disrupt any of the programs or visitors that come to the campus?
No, not that we plan on. I mean, once we have the contractor at the kickoff meeting, we'll ask them for their, based on their means and methods, how they plan on phasing the work and so on. Then we'll have a better idea, but based on the design, we don't anticipate any disruption.
You're not breaking up any concrete?
There will be. I mean, there's going to be some of that, but traffic will be maintained at all times. Access will be maintained at all times. And water will be maintained.
Well, that was gonna be my next question, right? If they have to shut off water when they're connecting things.
It will be on a weekend.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilman Brightwell?
Why is there $1 million difference? The low bidder, why is that?
I'm not sure. The contractor was asking himself the same thing. The contractor was asking himself the same thing. I'm not sure why. That actually is the engineer's estimate was higher than that too. The engineer's estimate was around $10 million. We've looked at the bids. We don't see anything out of the ordinary. It's just, the contractor left some money on the table.
Well, no, the question is based on, sometimes we get a low bidder because they don't know what they're doing.
I get it.
So I want to make sure.
And that's why
$1.1 million is low, and then another bidder was, what, $2 million above, so you got a range there.
Yeah,
So
sometimes.
I know HRC is vouching for these individuals. So, but is there a reason why this is low? I mean, it's $1 million lower.
Yeah, so there's nothing that we noticed in the bid. There's nothing that stands out as maybe they missed something or they lowballed us on something that they're going to try and make up later. We didn't see anything in the bids. HRC does have experience with them. We don't have experience with them previously, but HRC does, and they say they're good. They do good work. So, you know, they're qualified to do the work, and they're the low bidder. At that point, that's.
Okay, so, I mean, but I've heard of contractors who came in and did a poor job, and it cost us more to clean it up than the original bid. So how will you know that they are doing a good job? How will you know that we are getting a good product from this company?
Well, so we're going to have inspectors. We'll have people monitoring the project, and obviously, you know, we'll be keeping track of change orders and so on as well. And HRC will be providing support as well during construction. So we have our quality processes for construction. So testing of materials and so on, they'll all be adhered to.
Okay. All right, so, okay, thank you.
Councilwoman Bland?
That was my question. I do see that the city of Novi used Brico back in 2018 to do something very similar. I don't know what it looks like almost 10 years later, and I don't know if you have contacts with other cities to find out how the quality of the work was, if you ascertain a supplier scorecard or anything like that. But I do know that suppliers will lowball themselves just to get in the door.
Correct.
That's a government contract. But I just was curious as to the why too, but I have seen some of their other contracts as well with other municipalities.
Right, and that's why we've asked HRC for their experience with that contract, because they work with several municipalities on these projects, so they've seen, they've experienced working with that contract.
Council President Pro Tem?
Thank you, Mr. President. Our documents indicate that we have not had work done with them in recent years, but I think you just said we haven't ever. Which one is it?
I haven't. Lee, have you worked with?
No, I'm trying to remember. So Brico was a contractor that was on our pre-qualified contractors list for a long time. They weren't often our low bidder. And I'm thinking we may have done one job with them, like since our road bond passed in 2014. I don't remember there being any negative experience with them. But yeah, it's like, and our review process is pretty thorough. So we are checking references and calling other communities when we go through that process.
And even your monitoring process, we monitor the concrete as it comes out, if it's tested, if any uniformity of the product. Could be simply location of part, and they may have capacity. Another job failed or something, and we keep people working.
That's something.
Any other question or comment?
Mr. President.
Ma'am?
I move that we do Rule 10 for the Section 11 in City Hall Water Main Improvements Phase 2.
It's been properly moved by Council President Pro Tem Ho, supported by Councilwoman Haynes for Rule 10. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. President.
Yes, ma'am.
I move that we authorize the Department of Public Works, DPW, to sign a contract with Brickell Excavation for the replacement of water mains at City Hall and area Section 11.
It's been properly moved by Council President Pro Tem Ho, supported by Councilwoman Haynes. Any additional question or discussion? Here are none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item B, receipt of bids for Southampton pavement and water main improvements.
Good evening. So we have also received 4 bids from contractors pre-qualified through the city's request for contractor qualifications for our Southampton pavement and water main improvement project. The project includes water main replacement in the subdivision as well as asphalt road reconstruction. And significant stormwater improvements will be occurring in the subdivision. They historically have had drainage issues. It's just what we found during survey. It's a very, very, very flat subdivision with open ditches. So there's quite a bit of storm sewer that needs to be installed so we can get some catch basins in those ditches and get it to drain. There's a nice deep county drain out in Southfield Road that we can drain to. Funding for this project was included in the fiscal year 26 budget. Since the project was not obligated in that year, the unappropriated funds lapse into the fund balance, and we'll be pulling them forward through a budget adjustment to increase the respective expenditure accounts, so with the corresponding draw in the respective fund balances. The acceptable low bid was just under $5 million submitted by Angelo Iafredi Construction Company. The total cost of the project, including 15% for construction engineering, is estimated at just under $6.1 million, and with the cost being about $3.3 million coming out of roads and $2.9 million coming out of our water and sewer fund. If council is in support, we'd like to request an immediate need to act on this project as well. This project actually will be starting this construction season, and then as soon as the weather breaks in the spring, kind of depends on what our winter looks like, they've got another several months of construction in 2027. We expect the work to be all complete by July of next year. So if council is in support, we would like to request the action to award the construction contract to Angelo Iafredi and then authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign the construction documents.
So Lee, I see 3 council members who have questions. Councilmember Brightwell, Mandelbaum, and Banks. Mr. Brightwell.
It stated that Silver Maple had newer water mains. Is the 8-inch water, the 8-inch pressure, is that better? What's going on?
Dan, talking to the mic.
Oh. Did that statement make sense?
Yeah, I can paraphrase. So Mr. Brightwell was asking about the size of the water mains going in. So our minimum size water mains are 8-inch, and that's what is on Silver Maple. Silver Maple, that water main was installed about 15-ish years ago. They used to not have water main at all on that road. So that water main's still in good shape. It's ductile iron pipe. The rest of the water main is predominantly cast iron pipe. We've got some 8-inch and some 6-inch. 8-inch is the minimum now that we use for water mains, and that will work for our pressure and our hydrant flow needs.
Okay. It states in your statement here that the investment is approximately $57,000 per home. Is that is that a number we can use? Because that's saying a high number of $57,000 per home. I can't just throw that number around and.
Right.
What are you telling me there?
So, on these neighborhood projects in particular, we're trying to include a number like that, just so that the public has a good sense, and the elected officials, of these are expensive projects, these big capital infrastructure projects. So this one, on a per house basis, is probably more expensive than some because of all of the extensive storm sewer work. I think our last neighborhood project, we were in like the upper 30,000, like $37,000, $38,000 per property. So that we just like to give everyone some perspective on the investments in the neighborhood, because these are all of our local road funds and our water and sewer funds. So we don't have outside grants for these local subdivision projects.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because as an elected official, I had to explain a lot of things to different people. So if we are developing something every time we have a project, what the average home is, what number should I use universally for the city of Southfield, for the projects that we've had?
Yeah, you know what, I'll look at our last few so I can get an actual average of what we've brought before council. So that's based on the bid prices, and to give you that average price. I think it's around 40,000, but I'll get you a more accurate number. Happy to share that with council.
It would be helpful, because as you know, council people, we get asked stuff that goes on in the UN, you know, so all kind of stuff. Thank you, thankfully.
I think Mrs. Norton had a comment related to your question.
Thank you, Mr. President. The reason why we are trying to break this down to unit investment per home is to just engage with our residents that we are investing and rebuilding our infrastructure, which supports the value of their homes. New construction, they're using $1,100 per linear foot of frontage. A 70-foot lot, they'll have 77,000 in infrastructure. You know, the cost of the streets, sidewalks, water, sewer. And I think it's important that our residents hear that we're rebuilding their water, their sewer, the infrastructure that serves their homes. And those communities that aren't doing this, and this is where what we've done since 2014 in rebuilding the streets, we're 50, 60 years old. Like our own homes, you gotta invest. So I've asked staff to include that number just as a way of reinforcing the investment on a per household basis. And I like to remind people, when you pay your tax bill, only 30 cents of every dollar goes to the city. We use that all for public safety, so we're really, these road dollars are vital to us, water, sewer, and we do not, the general fund really doesn't support that. So I think that level of engagement for people to hear, we're rebuilding the city, and it makes for a position of confidence. Makes it a lot easier for a homeowner to say, hey, let's put a new roof in, let's put new doors or new windows on our homes and make that investment. The city's making the investment too.
Yeah, that's why I highlighted when I saw it. That's a good selling point. And to let people know what's being done with their tax dollars. And so I appreciate it, and that's why I appreciate the lead, and she will get us a number for the whole city. So, thank you.
Councilman Mandelbaum?
I know these streets desperately need to be redone. I know that it was a couple weeks ago, we had a newer resident in that neighborhood who said there was a petition for speed bumps or some type of traffic calming measure. Is that being considered as part of the project? Or is that going to have to be done after the fact?
Well, the contract's already been awarded. I think ideally, my conversation with Mr. Hampton has been going on for several months, so he's been working hard to get the sufficient number of signatures. I was hoping to get it, if he could get them, to make it in the bid. But I feel like, you know, if we do get all of the signatures while the project is still going on, it's asphalt streets, we would be using asphalt speed humps, and I think that we have opportunity still, while the project is open, to be able to do a change order. I would still be coming back to City Council to get authorization for that expenditure before we proceed. But right now, the ball is still in their court as they still try to rustle up enough signatures.
Okay. And then just my last comment, you know, Mr. McWilliams is still in the audience. I think if he drove through this neighborhood, maybe the streets around his neighborhood would kind of look better, because I know both streets. So I'm just saying these are in much worse shape. So unfortunately, we can't hit the whole city at the same time, but this is definitely a step in the right direction. So thank you.
Councilwoman Banks?
Thank you. Lee, have we used this company in Southfield before?
The last time we used them was back in 2017 on a Safe Routes to School grant. They're a large contractor. They do a lot of work for MDOT. They've been on our pre-qualified list. We don't always see bids from them. And when I start seeing bids on our local jobs from these big contractors, it makes me think maybe some of the big MDOT jobs are starting to slow down in that bid letting. But they gave us a very competitive bid, and they're very capable. Looking forward to getting them in here. They come with the right forces. They can get the work done.
And at one point, we talked about those companies that didn't finish their projects on time, and I thought we were going to put something in the bid or the specs. Did we do something in this particular situation?
All of our contracts actually are locally bid contracts, we do include liquidated damages. So if contractors are going beyond their completion dates, it's daily, that amount of money, thousands of dollars per day that gets deducted from their contract. It's, you know, they have to submit for it. Sometimes there's weather things or design changes that they will get the additional days added on, but we look at that on a day-by-day basis.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chair, I want to move that we,
Council, do you have any other questions? Okay, go ahead, sir.
we approve the rules.
Support.
It's been properly moved by Councilman Brightwell, supported by Council President Pro Tem Poe for Rule 10. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the Southampton pavement and water main project job number 263 SFLD as presented.
It's been properly moved by Councilman Brightwell, supported by Council President Pro Tem. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item C, authorization to repair tennis courts at Beachwoods.
Good evening, Council. Parks and Recreation is requesting your permission and authorization to repair our courts at Beachwoods. We've got some uneven playing surface, some cracks. Our boundary lines are faded. We took this out to bid, and it's our recommendation in working with purchasing that we go with Smith and Wheeler for $46,775. They could start on the project straight away, so that we could get a good portion of the summer and then of course our fall season in this year. And for that reason, if it's council's appetite this evening, I would ask for a little time.
Councilwoman Banks?
How many tennis courts are there? Three. Is there any way to add pickleball?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm glad you said that.
It's just becoming so popular, and people are like, are you adding more pickleball in Southfield?
We're lining them for pickleball as well.
I'm sorry?
We're lining them for pickleball as well. So we'll be lining the tennis courts for tennis and pickleball. They are right now, but I think the color that was chosen a few years back wasn't prime, and so it wasn't standing out as vibrantly as what it could have. So we're really taking some time this year to choose a really great offsetting color so our pickleball players and tennis players know where they're at. So, yes.
Okay, and I don't play pickleball, but I've heard some pickleball players say that the tennis courts that have the dual, it doesn't work.
Right, it's
why are
not,
they saying that?
certainly it's not as prime as an individual pickleball court, but to be able to offer that for our pickleball players too, when tennis isn't going on and opposite, we wanted to be able to hit a number of residents who have some different interests. Absolutely, you're 100% on. Pickleball is very, very popular right now. Our courts at Miller Park start at, unfortunately, and we work with the neighbors all the time, it's starting between 6 and 6:30, so we're having to go out there and spend some time to make sure that it at least starts at between 7:30 and 8 o'clock. We've got a lot of folks from Southfield, but we've got some folks coming in from some neighboring communities. So we have a really great set of neighbors out there who work pretty closely with us. I know going forward, when we look at developing pickleball courts, we really are going to continue to be mindful just for those reasons of where we put them. Because next to houses can be a little bit challenging. But I think with the offset of our pickleball and basketball courts and our peers looking at both and making sure that we have some really good interactions, it's been a positive move there. But I hear you loud and clear about pickleball.
Okay, there's no way to expand it?
Not at that site, not at that particular site. I'm not saying that going forward, somewhere in Beachwoods there could be in the future.
Thank you.
Councilman Brightwell?
Is this company I see you have we have two other companies who are sports related companies. Is this company,
We worked with purchasing a little bit, and did some background. They've done some schools too. We look at history, right, where they have been, and what they're doing right now. So we felt pretty comfortable recommending them. I know it's one of the lowest bids, but we feel pretty good going forward.
okay, did they know what they're doing?
Yes.
Okay, that's the main,
From everything that we asked and the information and the specs that we provided and what our expectation is, certainly if there is a vendor that doesn't meet our expectations, we don't just go along with that. So if we have to work closely and tighter with a vendor who isn't coming through, we do.
okay, all right, well, it's just that, history, we have people, sports related people, they put in things that, like the football field is not the authorized size of a football
Sure.
field.
Sure.
So that just,
We hear you loud and clear, sir. Just, as an example, we don't like to bring up past stuff, if you will, but we had to do Miller Park, the courts over again. Even after they finished it, it was not satisfying to us and our city, and so they did them again. So I would hope that that's not the case going forward. We do everything we can to make sure that we're making good choices, but certainly if someone, as I said, isn't coming through, we would address that.
thank you.
I
Thank you very much.
appreciate it.
Any other question or comment? Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair,
Sir?
I'd like to move that we have a Rule 10 for the tennis courts and Beachwood Park there.
Support.
It's been properly moved by Councilman Mandelbaum, supported by Councilwoman Banks. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. Chair,
Sir?
I'd like to move that we approve the repair to the tennis courts at Beachwoods.
Support.
It's been properly moved by Councilman Mandelbaum, supported by Councilwoman Banks. Any additional question or comment? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. It's me again. We are asking for your authorization to replace the cooling tower. It's actually a water storage bin at the ice arena. It is what cools the water as it goes onto the ice. I have listed in the letter of exactly what it's going to do, or what the company would be doing, removal and disposal of the existing storage basin. We put in a 150-gallon galvanized basin. Installation of the basin and fitting it to the pipes, and then filling the system and performing checks and startup. We put it out to bid, and Temperature Services, I know that it's a little bit more money. Here it's not the lowest bid, but we are recommending to go with Temperature Services. We have a vendor, they're a vendor of the city, and we've had some really good experience with Temperature Services. Sometimes the chiller will go down, and so it's really important that folks who work with us react quickly to let us know that it's happening so we can go in straight away. We've had some experiences like that, and Temperature Services has really come through. So it's our recommendation that we're asking you to authorize our expenditure. And again, if you have an appetite for a Rule 10, the quicker we can move on this, the better.
Councilman Mandelbaum, and then Councilwoman Banks.
Thank you, Terry. I know you and I have had talked about the ice arena, and just recently I shared with Councilor, got someone doesn't live in Southfield, but they play hockey here in a league. And they were playing out in Troy. Southfield is closer. Oak Park just they closed their ice arena. It seems like there's a need for ice arena. I know I helped bring in another league that plays Wednesday nights from Troy. And they keep coming in every year and they keep expanding. So I think, I know that our ice arena needs additional work. I'm glad that we're working on the off season, if you will, to get this done. I know hopefully we can continue to expand our offerings for the ice arena, and hopefully with this, the pool that we're going to be building using the same lobby now and year round, hopefully that will also bring additional exposure to the ice. I know that there's a lot of programs out there. I know the Red Wings have a youth hockey league where if your kid's under 10, they provide all the equipment for free and they have trainers. And I found out about it the day my son turned 11, so that didn't help me. But there's a lot of things that we could do and expand with the ice arena. So I want to thank you for doing that and keeping the ice arena. I know there's been discussions in the past. Do we want to keep it? Do we not, because of some of the issues we have? But I think that we're becoming a select city that still has it. So I think it's a good thing to keep. So thank you. Sure.
Councilwoman?
How old is the current basin?
I don't know. I can find out for you, though.
What is the lifespan of the new one?
25.
25 years?
Mm-hmm.
And what does the preventative maintenance look like on a water basin? And is it annual, quarterly? What does that look like?
They do it quarterly.
Okay.
Temperature Services does. They have been with us right now.
Okay.
I think because they've done a good job. Dave has done a good job maintenance wise. The older a piece of equipment gets some more attention, you can give it, so I think it's lasted as long as it has. But honestly, I don't know off the top of my head how old it is, but I certainly can find out.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So, back when Southfield High School had a hockey team, I tried out for it, but big guys and ice don't work, especially in the fall, it hurts a lot more. So I'm not against hockey. But I am, as Councilman Mandelbaum mentioned, several municipalities are closing ice arenas due to lack of support. And I'm excited what's happening with the aquatic center. And with that momentum, I had asked the director for a feasibility study on what's the foot traffic look like for our ice arena? What's the revenue? Now, everything should be profit or revenue generating, because when we look at our regular parks, we're not trying to get revenue, we're just trying to support the need of our city. So when I look at adding additional money towards a service that we're not getting the foot traffic from local taxpayers and residents, that's where I question the feasibility. Does it make sense to do what we're doing? I can see it be, we hope that we get additional revenue to make sure it at least covers the cost of operation. But, one thing that I had posed to a few council members was that, there's other things that we can use that space for. We're building out space for the seniors in your area, but it could be value added to have that over near the aquatic center where there's other amenities, meeting rooms or something else. Not saying that we shouldn't do this, but have we done the due diligence to understand what makes the most sense for use for our population and not be dependent on hoping that other non-residents support that entity?
Could I speak?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if you were just putting it out there.
Well, put it out there, but
I think this is an ongoing conversation that we've had about the ice arena. I can tell you that we bring in anywhere from $230 to, on really good years, $260,000 worth of revenue at the ice arena. Those are basically teams. Those are hockey teams. We charge $250,000 or $250 an hour for someone to come in and rent the ice. If I offer open skate for an hour and a half, I might get 25, 30 people on a good night. Sometimes we get more though. Sometimes we'll have 50 people. So it's a balancing act of bringing in revenue for a facility and making sure that it's affordable for our residents who do want to participate. It is true that there are programs that we can do there. We're doing Learn to Skate. We do have sticks and pucks there. We tried some special events there last year. It's a fine line. If you ask me, could I fill 3 gyms there? I have to be upfront with you and tell you the truth. Yes, I could. Could there be a walking track around it? Could we have some space, as you talked about, for seniors?
But at the same time, I closed the golf course. We closed the golf course, right? And we did it with a heavy heart, but at the same time, we have to be fiscally responsible, as what you're talking about tonight, with investing in a facility that we're not quite sure we're gonna have for how long, right? So in being and living in the city of Southfield, whether you participate in the aquatic center, you're gonna feel pretty proud and pretty good. It's gonna do good on your house to have an aquatics facility in the city of Southfield, even if you don't swim. So I think that it does need to have more conversation. I think that I can make recommendations to you all day long, but I think it's a bigger conversation. It affects all of us here. And I know that Parks and Recreation always strives to be fiscally responsible. There are programs that we make money on, and there are programs that are absolutely free. We had over 1,500 people on the front lawn. We're meeting with the police department tomorrow so that we can talk about having additional safety there because of the number of folks coming to our concerts and being able to have an increase in some of our parking. So we really try and give a balance of programs that absolutely need to be able to make money. I think I've used the golf course before as a example. It's sort of like cost recovery. If you have a specialized interest like the golf course, you better make some dollars on that. We have to be able to be fiscally responsible and make dollars. So when we invest in that golf course, we're hoping to recoup that money not too far in the near future. And we do that. But if I have a dance program, I don't want to make 75% of the revenue off of the kids playing, coming in and doing dance. So I think that we're always trying to balance things going forward. I do hear what you're saying, and you're absolutely right. We still are open at the ice arena. We still have services that we're going to provide. But absolutely, we need to have some more conversations, and we would welcome that. I know that there are a couple things on the table. It's always nice to hear comments about Parks and Recreation or DPW or roads or anything that we do as departments and our teams do. But I hope that people remember that the reason we're able to invest, the reason we're able to do this are the people sitting around the table. Those are our city administrator and our council people. So Parks and Recreation feels very supported from this council. You ask the hard questions because it needs the thought, it needs the conversation, and it's difficult. It was difficult when we closed the golf course. So we welcome conversations going forward. I brought this item because we're still a nice arena, we're still open, we still have folks that want to skate there. How we move forward with the ice arena, looking at the number of folks that are using it, I have to be honest with you there. We have 5,000 residents that use the ice arena. The rest of the folks that use the ice arena are our teams. We could go through those rosters and check and see, because I'm sure there's some residents that are on those teams as well. So that's my long-winded, trying to be short and concise, which I hardly am not. But we need the chiller to open up the ice arena so we can host some skaters. We do have Little Caesars as one of our clients. Little Caesars brings their 14 and unders. Since they've built the Little Caesars arena downtown, they have an ice arena underneath, you probably all know. So they're able to host some of those teams, but they still work with us a great deal. Of course, Detroit Country Day, locker room, no locker room, they want to skate there. We're their home ice, and we have the Wounded Warriors who skate with us. We have a lot of women's teams that skate here with us, so they've appreciated you allowing us to put a sound system in and put some rubberized flooring in and do some things that make it feel better in there when they're there. So we've tried to sort of invest, but not big ticket items, to your point, sir. So this is keeping it open, keeping the ice cold, and giving us some time to think about how we want to move forward there.
Thank you, Director Fields. Any other comment or question? Director Fields.
I could just say, like the few teams that I mentioned that I know play here, I want to say about 75% of those are Southfield residents. And then even this past year, they started, someone rented out every week to teach kids how to play hockey. So, I mean, I can just speak, there's still a need for it, and especially because the person that I met that said, oh, we moved from Troy to Southfield, they were gonna move to Oak Park, but Oak Park closed theirs.
Yeah.
So.
And times are
and
really
they're-
really difficult. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but Parks and Recreation, like some of the other departments, Monday through Sunday, right? And the ice rink closes most of the time. Sometimes 11:30, sometimes 12 o'clock, sometimes 12:30. We want to be safe. We want to be able to help some of our teams that are looking for places to skate. But that was the other part of it, is they were being challenged with their time, right? And so.
Yeah.
Ice rinks are trying to make $1, and like I said, we could fill that place up with teams the entire time, and our dollars would look a little bit different. But we're trying to have some special events there and introduce kids and still have some open skate times. Granted, there for a little while, we had it open from 11 to 12, and really who can skate from 11 to 12, Monday through Friday. So we've definitely added some times, and we've added some times on weekends as well. And those are prime times, so.
And the fact that it's $2.50 an hour and people are still, like, it's no problem, but they pay it. I think it says a lot that it's still, I understand what you're saying, but I still think there's that other side where this is still becoming a rarity that cities have. We used to have 2 ice rinks. Beachwoods was the other. They already turned that into basketball and volleyball courts. I hate to see us get rid of the other one. The same thing with the pool, the aquatic center. We have no idea, is it gonna be 100 people, 5,000 people? We don't, hopefully it's gonna be a lot, but we don't know.
Any other comment or question? Hearing none, the chair will entertain.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion for a Rule 10 to replace the pool and power storage business.
Support.
It's been properly moved by Councilman Mandelbaum, supported by Council President Pro Tem Hoag. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move that we approve the authorization to replace the coal and power storage business.
It's been properly moved by Councilman Mandelbaum, supported by Council President Pro Tem Hoag. Any additional discussion or question? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments too.
Item E, Mount Vernon Street Sidewalk Act. Oh, for our attendees who are sitting in the hallway, there's some seats inside the room if you choose to come in.
Let them know they're okay right here too.
Okay, thank you.
It's hard to hear you speaking at the table. Is there a way you can turn your mics up? It's hard for us to hear you.
Yeah, we're not hearing you at all, pretty much.
I can turn the volume.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so on April 27th, City Council approved the Mount Vernon Road and Water Reconstruction Project, which included adding 850 feet of 5-foot concrete sidewalk to fill an existing sidewalk gap on the north side of Mount Vernon. Filling modest sidewalk gaps along our major roads during our capital improvement projects has been our policy for many years as we strive to be more pedestrian and bicycle friendly. I held a public meeting on June 25th for this project, and I was presented with a petition opposing the sidewalk installation. Of the 15 properties that are proposed to get the new sidewalk, I had signatures from 12 different properties, with 11 of them being property owners. One was a tenant. If this were a special assessment district project, we have a formal process for people to stop those type of improvements. Those SAD projects, residents are paying for those public improvements in front of their house. Because this is not an SAD, we don't really have a formal process, but a petition just seemed like a very appropriate way for them to express their opinions. And I really felt we needed to bring this back to council to get just consensus around this table if we should proceed with the sidewalk installation, or if council would be more comfortable not proceeding with the installation. So these sidewalks and pathways along our major roads are viewed as a significant safety improvement, and it just benefits the entire community to have people have a ADA compliant, safe place to walk, not in the road or across someone's grass, which not everyone is able to do. So we really just brought this for some discussion. You heard one of the residents come and speak about it, but I did want you to know that there were, many more than that signed the petition.
Okay, we have hands from council members Mandelbaum, Banks, Brightwell, and the mayor.
Thank you. I went through, when I saw this item, I drove down Mount Vernon, then I walked it. And I'm torn. I understand the residents don't want it. But at the same time, we're becoming a more walkable city. We're making bike lanes, we're doing road construction. Sidewalks add a level of safety for walkers. I know a lot of times I'm walking down Lincoln, and there's sidewalk gaps there, and then you end up walking in the street, and then cars are honking at you, and it's not safe. There's a big sidewalk gap. I'm looking at Google Maps right now, and I understand the residents are opposed to it. I think that personally it should stay. If I was going to be walking down Mount Vernon, which I have on occasion, but I wouldn't want to have to walk on a sidewalk and then either move to the other side of the street to continue on the sidewalk or walk in the street, and it's only it's about a block or so that has that missing sidewalk. Because if we have this and we allow the petitions when we're doing the work, the residents aren't paying for it, what do you do when you have a safe routes to school? And residents say, oh, we just don't want it. And I know when they had the safe routes to school previously, we had residents who said, we don't want it. The city said, we're putting this in, we're paying for it, we can't have those sidewalk gaps. I know we've talked about in our building ordinance that just went into effect about certificate of occupancy. And then we talked about a tree. There's been discussion if there's no sidewalk, maybe we need to have someone build the sidewalk. So, we're becoming a more walkable city. I think it's just even from a safety perspective. We're talked earlier today, there's a neighborhood who wants speed humps or traffic calming measures. And then to tell people you have to walk in the street, I think is counterproductive to what we're trying to do as a city. As a side note, I called Lee, I think it was 2 weeks ago, very close to this neighborhood. I think it's right off of Pennsylvania. There's one corner house that has no sidewalk. So if you're walking in that neighborhood, you're walking down one street, you want to just continue, there's no sidewalk, and there's little kids in that neighborhood, and they walk across the grass, the homeowner comes out, yells at the kids for walking on the grass, but there's no sidewalk, and they don't want to walk in the street because it's not safe. So it's also, we're torn. I think for safety purposes, I think we need to continue putting in those sidewalks for the neighborhood. I understand, I can sympathize that it becomes, it's good, they're gonna have to shovel it and keep it clear in the winter. But I think it's overall safety throughout the city that we want to be more walkable and safe for people to walk. That's my 2 cents for what you do.
Councilwoman Banks?
Thank you. I wish we had included a map so we could visually see. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to drive down that area, but I'd love to see a map of this area. But it is in here. Also, are there sidewalks on one side of the street but not on the other?
Yes.
So the south side of Mount Vernon has sidewalk for the entire mile. The north side mostly has sidewalk. So we've got this 850-foot gap. It's about a block and a half long from Rutland to just past Pierce. And then there's another little gap at Southfield Road by a business that we're also going to be filling. That's not included in the 850 feet.
So you've got 15 homes?
Yes.
And you're saying out of the 15 homes, 73% object?
Correct.
And the other ones can't vote, they're vacant.
Excuse me,
Oh, I'm
sir.
sorry.
I don't know, this is a tough one, because, you know, with our SABs, if we've always said 50% of the property owners, 60%.
Yeah,
They
60%
object to the
can
project.
counter
Yeah,
petition.
but then the project fails. Now, if we do put these sidewalks in, are the property owners gonna have to pay for this, or they are not gonna have to?
No, they will not have to
They will
pay,
not have
because
to pay.
Mount Vernon is a major road.
Right.
So on our, in the local subdivision streets, sidewalks are still installed by special assessment district. On our major roads, when we have, especially when they're just smaller gaps in simple gap filling, in some areas we have river crossings, and those sidewalks can get very complicated and expensive, but for one like this, it's really a pretty uncomplicated sidewalk gap fill, so.
Are they aware that there's gonna be no cost to them?
I hope so, you know, we don't say that there is a cost, we certainly can't just charge people without going through public hearings, through our special assessment. At the public meeting, it was discussed that there was no charge, no direct charge to the residents, but, and we did have a few people.
I mean, I'm hearing a lot of rumbling, so I question, are the people aware that there is no cost? And if that.
Yes.
Oh, you are aware?
Excuse me, sir.
I live on that
Sir,
street.
excuse me.
You asked.
No, sir. She was talking to the table.
Oh, can I speak?
No.
Okay.
Right. And their reason why they don't want it again?
I mean, you heard Mr. Gold say, you know, there's some concern about liability, that when they say cost, I mean, there's not a direct cost for the sidewalk installation, but once they are installed, adjacent property owners are then responsible to maintain them. You know, for clearing snow, as well as in the future, if they should develop trip hazards or anything, residents are responsible for the maintenance of the sidewalks adjacent to their properties. Oftentimes it's changed, right? So it's, you know, these are a lot of long-term residents, and this block and a half has never had sidewalks. So people are, I think, just having hesitations to get on board with it. I think from the city leadership standpoint, you know, we're looking at it not directly as a benefit to these 15 property owners, but for anyone in the neighborhood that's trying to do a big loop run, you know, and include the major roads, or someone riding a bike commuting, you know, that doesn't want to be on the major mile roads, they can hit the half-mile roads and, you know, bike and things, so. You know, I can see it from both sides, honestly. I, you know, would like to see the sidewalk go in, but that's why it's like, I'm not the boss of the whole city, so that's why we came to discuss.
I know we have a few council members who want to speak, and we have a passionate homeowner. So, sir, I wasn't trying to cut you off, but this is a meeting for council to discuss items. But I do hear some unreadiness, even from Councilmember Banks, who it may be value added to have one more public meeting or town hall to hear their perspective, to give council more information to weigh in. That's just my thought. What do you all think? Yes, ma'am.
I guess if nothing has been communicated in writing, that there will be no cost to install the sidewalk. I would like to see something like that going out, but just to make sure everyone who signed that petition is aware of that, because maybe they're not. I don't know.
Is your company tied to that?
Yeah, my understanding was it wasn't the cost. It was the fact that they didn't want to have to do the cleanup of the snow removal, the work, not the cost to repair, to do the work. They don't want to do, once you get the sidewalk there, they have to pick up the snow. They have to solve it. And that's work that they didn't have to do before. And that's what they're really talking about. My understanding is that.
I heard one person talk, but
But then again, and another thing too, like what you said, is overall for the greater good. Now, people are walking there, but what happens in the wintertime when there's no snow, no sidewalk and there's snow? Do they have to remove that on the grass too, to make a path? Okay, so that's the extra cost that they would have to incur. They would have to have someone remove this, if they can't do it, and pay for the salt and all, and that's an expense that they didn't incur. That's what I'm hearing more than anything. A personal expense that they didn't have to incur, they have to incur now. And I think that's what we're probably going to hear, because, I mean, we can send out a note to say you don't have to pay for the work to be done. That's a given. But I think when we come to meet, we're gonna hear the same thing, but what are we gonna do with that information if we have another year? Are we gonna change our minds on the sidewalk? She just said that this is not something that would, would be setting a precedent too. Just,
We have a lot of areas in the city like that, right?
We do. And it's not a good thing either though. I mean, we have more, like you said, more people walking, more people out. And we understand and we empathize, but for the larger part, I've heard in one community they didn't want sidewalks because they didn't want people passing in front of their house. I'm not saying that, but that's what I heard. And it was a loud cry for that because normally they don't care if they're in the street, it's just they don't want them in front of their house. And it was a large part of hearing it because it would increase more traffic that wasn't there before. And I think we have to be fair about all of those things and address that.
Right, but there are sidewalks on the other side of the street.
But this is a city for all of us. It's just, and somebody could sue us and say, hey, I came in my wheelchair and you didn't have a sidewalk there, and there was one. So that's a larger part.
Councilman Mandelbaum?
Just really quick, I just want to point out, Nancy, I don't know if you noticed it when you're looking at the Google Maps, but, you have the Kennedy Learning Center right there, across the street from this area. I mean, are we saying we don't want sidewalks near a school, especially a school?
But there is a sidewalk in front of this, in the Kennedy Center.
Okay, but if you're not on that side of the street, you still, yes, you can always cross a street, but it's still another impairment to helping, at least, kids who are gonna go to that school. It's.
I hear what you're saying, but it should be proper. There's gotta be a way for them to cross the street. It's just in the past, we've always said 60% either approves or denies something, and here you're talking 73%. So
But I think
it's not a SAP.
But that was also because they had to pay for it. Here, there's no payment.
But there's still a job.
But I'll go back to what I said earlier, if we have safe routes to school, are we gonna object? We just passed an ordinance that says people need to plant a tree in front of their house. I mean, if you're gonna make, I don't wanna plant a tree, I don't wanna rake the leaves. You can't, I mean, where do you draw the line?
I think the issue is a safety issue and it's convenience issue. I've had cases where someone with a mobility issue will walk down the sidewalk and all of a sudden you get your area where there's no sidewalk. It was a conundrum. Didn't figure out how to get them to the other side of the thing. So, but with Southfield interested in being a mobility city, and we have a policy now of actually putting sidewalks in these cases where they're needed. And I'm sure a very good lawyer will sue the city because you had to walk in the street and you got hit by a car. And because there's no sidewalk there, we will get sued, and just from a common sense standpoint, we are liable. And so my thoughts are, it's a convenience factor, it's a safety factor, and it aids in our image of being an age-friendly city. And it's a mobility issue for the individuals who have mobility problems that we're taking care of. So and the fact that it is not a cost to the homeowners, that, I'm sure that should be, well, anyway, and that's a driver right there. It doesn't cost you anything. And if you are afraid of snowing, clear snow, or you should move to Florida or something.
That's not it.
But anyway.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Much of what I was gonna say has been said. It's just about community. It's about safety. I also think it's about Americans with Disabilities Act, that people should, especially, I drive, I can't drive it now because of the construction, but a number of us, especially that live below 9 Mile, we drive Mount Vernon all the time. And although the speed limit is 25, we know it's a constant issue with people going faster than that and blowing stop signs. I don't want people walking in the street, on a street that is that busy. And I think it's a selfish point of view. If you don't want a sidewalk, we live in a community. The sidewalks are important. We have been on a 15-year mission about filling gaps in sidewalks. We have a non-motorized transportation program that has provided grants for sidewalks. We need more sidewalks, and as Councilman Brightwell alluded to, one of the things that Michigan AARP recognized Southfield for is because we've made it more pedestrian friendly. And it's because of filling in sidewalks, adding pathways to trails. I think it would be a shame not to take advantage of this opportunity, especially when it's at no cost. And for those of you that haven't been on council very long, up until 2008 or 2009, when the recession hit, we were doing sidewalk replacement and making homeowners pay for it all across the city. It was an annual, neighborhood by neighborhood sidewalk replacement program. And I think it's a mistake that it stopped, but because the economy went south, 2009, 10, we stopped that program. Personally, I'll be disappointed if we don't take advantage of this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other comment or question on this item, Council? All right, so one of the things that Lee has asked for us is consensus on how we should proceed. I think I've heard opinions from a few of you. Are there any additional asks of her, or are we ready to kind of give her direction on what next steps should be?
I do have a question. In reference to the ADA, what would happen if we would go against that?
Well, all of the sidewalks that we have to be ADA compliant, especially when we come through with the project. So right now, there's a 1.5 block gap. If the consensus is to not fill the gap, it just stays as is. And I can't really speak to the liability side of that. As far as I know, it's more direct to when it's built, it shall be ADA compliant. There's certainly, areas that we don't have sidewalks at all.
Attorney, can you speak to the liability sidewalk?
Well, I'm probably gonna say what she's saying until somebody actually brings a complaint. And if it just stays status quo, like someone had said, that if it's a snowy day and someone needs to, travel on that road, which is a busy road, that's the unknown. Right now, it stays status quo. Right now, it's public, we're discussing it, that this is an option, and it stays, but someone says, oh, I remember they discussed that at a meeting,
There you go.
So I can't speak to it either. It's just, it's a risk that we take, if we keep a status quo. So, yeah, it's unknown, but it's there.
I'll just say one more thing about this, and that is, everywhere we've built the sidewalks, the people in the neighborhood then have used them. They get used. People walk their dogs all the time here. They shouldn't be walking their dog in the street. Again, you build it and they walk on it.
Want a motion on this?
We want consensus, not a motion.
Yeah, the council item on April 27th really already approved the sidewalk gap fill with the Mount Vernon project. I'm just bringing it back for further discussion. Do we want to continue with that or not?
Well, we would have to reset our vote, wouldn't we?
Pro Tem Holder?
I was just gonna state that, Councilwoman Banks, when you mentioned the 60% item, since this isn't an SAD, that's why that doesn't play into a part. So that's one thing, but then secondly, I think the percentages are so high because the overall number is so low. So that's another reason why you get to it so quick. So I just wanted to put that out there for anyone that's kind of on the fence here. And maybe we're not. I'm ready to see.
I think she just said, look, you mean that you said that we approved this?
April.
So let me, hey Dan.
Repeat that, please.
Hey Dan. So what you're asking her to repeat was that we had this discussion already and that we asked to proceed. Right? She brought it back to us to see if there's any additional clarity or discussion based off of some of the information she's received since then.
So it was approved. Okay, proceed with what we approved previously.
So what I'm hearing around the table is that the majority of the table still feels, from a consensus perspective, that we should continue as planned. Unless I'm incorrect.
Yes.
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 Okay.
Will I ever get a chance to talk?
No, this isn't a public hearing
Oh,
for
okay.
that. Sorry.
Okay, well, if we were worried about people coming on our property,
Yes,
we
sir,
wouldn't have the
sir.
Halloween house on Mount Vernon. Everyone knows
Sir.
us. We got people
I
from all over the
understand
city.
you're passionate, but sir, this is not appropriate. Thank you. Item F, application for Detroit Institute of Arts 2027 Inside Out Program.
I think the city has been granted this program. The DIA will set up about a dozen different art pieces around the city. And we have an opportunity to apply for another grant. I believe this is no cost to the city. So we're just coming back on the 20th with our authorization for us to apply. Now, if you've been outside the rec center, you did receive one portrait as part of the senior center grant. This is for the citywide. And in the past, we've had the art displayed throughout the municipal campus and other strategic areas in the parks and public spaces. I know Northfield's presenting right now. I've seen it up in Mackinac, I've seen it in Vernon, and it's been here at least twice. I think you have to wait 3 years cycle before you can apply again. So just bringing it to your attention.
Any questions, Mr. Mayor?
Just gonna say, I believe this is the fourth time.
And I know at least 3 in my tenure.
Yeah.
Council President Pro Tem?
I was just gonna say that, our status in the art world just continues to pick up. And there was on TV today that I saw for the plane, what do you call it? Airplanes, yeah, so. Paper airplanes, so.
Any other comment or question?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, when we had this before, it was really nice, and just in Mackinac, it had the same thing. It's just a nice attraction, and I think it would just be good just to add in the walking on the trail.
All right, thank you, sir. Item G, presentation and discussion regarding the proposal to amend the Northland City Center Overlay Development District.
This was originally in front of council in May, and it was postponed to a date certain. It's scheduled to come back on the 20th. Council had some questions about timing and phasing and how realistic the phasing plan was. There was other items that administration and various departments were working on with the Northland developer to get into compliance. And again, this is on for tonight. I know David is here if he wants to address the timing and phasing. If council has questions about the phasing plan. But I believe the significant ones that are easy to relate to is buildings A and B in phase 1, what the timing is of that, and then the sports dome, which is the next item to be discussed, and then there's the long-term phasing of all the rest of the development. So with that, through the chair, I'll turn it over to our developer, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that council may have. And I believe the preliminary packets were, phasing plan were in the packets.
Good evening, council. Good evening. I'm happy to answer any questions regarding the proposed amended plan, timing plan.
David, could you just review through the chair what your timing is for phase 1, which includes buildings A and B?
Yeah, so, we went back and we really, listened to a lot of the concerns regarding the timing. And I think we've extended it where we're very comfortable on the first 2 buildings, A and B, to be completed by March of 27. That doesn't mean that that is the timeline we're going after. It just means that we've really listened to the concerns and comments of council and others regarding timing and delivery of these units. We are actively working with the city on, as Terry mentioned, inspections and other matters for us to be able to open the first building at a sooner date and continue the next few buildings as well.
So just to clarify, you have March 31st of 2027, complete buildings A and B. And then I believe the sports dome was 12/26. Is that correct?
Yes.
So the sports dome says
Yes.
6/1/27, right?
That's where it would start, and the delivery date would be December of 26.
Okay, maybe I'm on the wrong page, because I have a planned finish date of 6/1/27 and a planned start date of 4/1/26 for the sports dome and field. That was what was sent out in my package. Am I incorrect? You have something different?
I have 7/1/26 and 12/1/26.
So it looks like we have, our dates are different in our package.
We sent the updated packet, we confirmed that with this team last week.
Okay.
Terry, we had a whole list of things that had to get done. Has that been completed?
I'm going to let the city administrator start with
So we continue to have a supplemental agreement, this amendment number 3. A number of the things have been completed. For example, the as-built for A and B have been submitted. But we're asking for as-built for other pieces of infrastructure. As each piece gets built, we need that section of as-bills. The security, the fencing has been installed. The screening has been installed. The storm mitigation, soil erosion. The taxes were paid today for everything at Northland. Now that's for the prior tax seasons that ended June 30th. So all taxes for 24, 25 have been paid. And then we have Austin Michaels, our finance director, Grant Williams, and myself met with Baker Tilly. It looks as though the liquidity is there. There are lots of carve-outs in this. For example, the dome drives another revenue stream coming into the project. that financing has certain caveats. As the buildings A and B are completed, the financing and the mortgage instruments that come in are other pieces. So we spent a good 2.5 hours with their representative, their CPA from Baker Tilly. And I have to just, it appears that the liquidity is there, but each piece of this, each of these site components, there are certain caveats or carve-outs that apply to it. And part of it is tied to market conditions. A and B get built, there's absorption. That sets in place the buildings for F and G. The dome on its own, that brings in another piece. The dome also gives you a place to fill in the basement. They have met with our building department, and they are working on what it will take, the engineering components of filling in the basement of what I call where the old Montgomery Ward it was. That will take almost 40,000 cubic yards of
That's correct.
to fill. So what you notice along Greenfield, the dirt has been moved. If you drive the site, you'll see where the road has been cut for the new road. The new road connecting that piece of infrastructure, July 21st is scheduled to start. That'll connect to J.L. Hudson's Drive. Then, as the road is built, the additional storm sewer pipes that are currently stored on site. So there are pieces of this that, as each of the condo pads get developed, there are different elements in. So we're taking in Amendment 3 of the supplemental agreement to include kind of the fluidity of this, but relative to where we were 7-8 weeks ago, you are moving in the right direction. Does the administration wish it were quicker? Yes, I do. But we are moving in the right direction.
Is it, I just mentioned something, is it possible for somebody to send us an update, because our timing in our packet doesn't match what we said, if that's possible?
I'll have to check that, because we did get an update.
Okay.
I don't know if what I can tell you that we did include was the old phasing to compare to the new phasing, so I'm not sure what you're looking at.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we're having some technical difficulties, because I had the new phasing plan that we were gonna pull up. We'll have that straightened out by next week.
Okay.
Thank you. I was just gonna ask, but is that planning document signed? Because this is all great, it's moving in the right direction, but where are we with that document?
So the planning piece is the ODD, and that's ready to be signed with the, am I correct, Terry? I mean,
Well,
that's
the council,
the answer to that.
we held a public hearing. Council did not act on the phasing plan because you had questions. That was deferred to next Monday now. You have to approve the phasing plan before the planning documents can be signed. You have not signed off on the new phasing plan. What was authorized was to move forward. You made the correction on allowing the sports dome as a permitted use, or it was a permitted use, but taking the golf dome off of prohibited use and dealing with the architecture. And that's going to be presented next. What was not acted on at the time was the phasing plan, because you had a number of questions outstanding, and that has been postponed to a date certain, which is next Monday. So you have to act on approving the new proposed phasing plan. Then
Are we talking about the same document though? I'm talking about the one Grant was working on.
That's the supplemental.
That's not what I was talking about, what you just talked about. I'm
So-
talking about that.
But they're tied
that
in,
document.
they're tied together.
So
But we've been promised that document though.
we have a draft of it, but I'm telling you, it is in a evolving state. Because as we've gone through it and going through, for example, the dome being built, you now have gone into phase 2 of that. So we've amended the second supplemental agreement, and we're working to get that through 3. And we put timelines and deadlines in there within that supplemental agreement.
And that's what I thought the dates in the supplemental agreement was out there so as to the planning could still be updated and all that, because that's why I made the statement to say I thought we were promised this for some time now, that whatever changes to the planning would not impact the supplemental document because it was so far out there enough that whatever changes were being made, we could still sign that agreement. It would then make it clear on what our expectations was. And I thought we've always been so close to it, and even after last Wednesday.
If I could through the chairman, so the supplemental development agreement refers back to the phasing plan of the ODD. And we've been working closely with Grant Williams to make sure that those two documents are consistent with each other. That's what I was trying to say. I understand where you're coming from, and Mr. Zorn has been working on the details of the supplemental development agreement, but they tie back to the ODD, so we don't have conflicting regulations.
And I get what you're saying, but what I'm saying is I didn't think that they had to match, that the date would be so, it would just, or it would maybe have language to say whatever the final planning is or something. I just didn't think that we had seen, the one we seen made them be identical, that we could have signed the supplemental document and still allow whatever changes that was needed to the plan. It's been so long now, I don't know really what I've seen. But I just know, I thought we've been close multiple times to sign. But nonetheless, the progress that I'm hearing is good, but I also would like to see that.
And I can run through the dates with you. So payment of property taxes, they were paid today. The security in that, dispensing that, it is complete. The reset of the soil erosion, we're gonna have a conversation. Right now, the soil erosion sits outside of the fence on Greenfield. I wanna work with our permitting engineer to move that to the inside of the fence. That way, when you're walking the Greenfield site, you don't see that. Landscaping, there's the landscaping elements. See, landscaping comes down to a planting piece of it. But we've got that in there, that depending upon which boulevard and piece, we've tied each of that to a different sub-phase. For example, when you come in, there's Boulevard A. The landscaping appears to be done. Planning will need to sign off on that. There's the landscaping component along Greenfield, that is done. When you come into Boulevard B, so that is happening.
I guess I'm
But
gonna try.
there's a degree of fluidity that happens in this as each of these roads are built.
No, I get that. Well, let me try one time, and then I'll drop it, I promise. I guess what I'm saying is, if that's not signed, who can you hold anybody to it? We need to get it signed to hold us, that's all what I'm trying to say, everybody. Not that, tell me the timeline, all that. If you don't sign it, what? There's no obligation, that's all I'm trying to say is. And I get it, I just thought that the timing would be, just for the sake of this discussion, that will be finished by end year. Well in enough time to get it done, but when are we gonna sign the document? And I thought it would be written enough in a fashion where you don't have to bubble down the time to the exact, but give a range that you make it. To at least say, you've agreed to make all of these things happen. You know, that's what I'm saying. That's all.
Councilwoman Hayes, Mr. Mayor, Councilwoman
And I
Davis.
agree with the same thing, because I mean, we just got the taxes paid today, so you have documentation of that. And you also say that it appears to be, you keep saying appears to be, the liquidity appears to be, is what's the fact? I mean, I appear to have a little money in my account, but I need to know I have it in there. I mean, do we have evidence? That's, to me, I think that's maybe.
There's obviously an element of financing on every one of these pieces. And you want, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you, I know that the money's there. There are different term sheets on every piece of this project that, as the piece comes together, the terms of the term sheet come into play. An equity component is being put in by the developer, and the financing is being put in by the entity doing the financing. And each of these pieces are different. They have an element. Building A, there are terms in there regarding lease-up. At what point is the stabilization of that revenue stream secured? And at what point does it move to the next piece? But what we saw, building in A, his mortgage financing is in place. The next two buildings, F and G, the term sheets committing the funding are to those projects. They're subject to things like interest rates, market conditions, market absorption. It is all very much piece of this project.
A lot of this is based on trust, accountability, and then the order to sign it. Like, there's nothing definite. If you say you're gonna do something, you sign it, that deadline is there. And you know, we keep moving and moving. I remember we said before, we know, let's be honest about the date, because we know we're gonna have to move it, and that happened. So, that signing is a commitment. The order is necessary for the plan.
And you know, I'm just gonna point out LCA, there are 8 pieces of 10 different developments that we read once a month, either in Cranes, Detroit News, or the Free Press, where these projects, where the market conditions, what happens. None of us like to read it. I mean, we're dealing with across the street. By now, I should have buildings going up.
And it's not really on you, I mean,
I'm just,
you know.
I mean, we're dealing, you know, if you've got a 120-acre site, and you've got the Costco piece at 10 acres, and I might be off on my acreage, buildings A and B, another bite of it. The dome becomes another bite of it. You see the building, the original Victor Gruen design, that 50-some thousand square foot building immediately to the south. I've seen the term sheet that puts that in play for Lisa.
So do we have a definite on A and B?
On A and B, they're up, they're going up. He's going through, where each units are being inspected, elevators installed, electricity. I mean, every floor, if Chuck's not here, but every week, units are going through inspection. You've got final electrical, final plumbing happening on a unit-by-unit basis. The finish out is happening.
And what's the hold up? There's no hold up, or just, can we get a date?
Well, David,
I mean, I think we could have it wrapped up in the next 24 to 48 hours. I mean, it's fluid conversation between attorneys, obviously. There's language that we've all agreed upon. When you say that there's not commitments, I think you went off a list of items that have already been checked off. So I think we can get to a signature on this for the next couple days.
There have been things checked off, but again, even that checkoff list, there's a degree of fluidity. I have as-built drawings for A, and B. They're being reviewed. Do we have as-built drawings for where the dome's gonna be? No, because it hasn't been built, and that's part of this agreement. But we're writing an agreement that has that fluidity in that for that to happen.
Mr. Mayor?
Well, along those lines, you said that the as-built plans have been shared?
For buildings A and B.
Okay.
Now, we're looking for other parts of the as-built. For example, the boulevard that comes off of, what is that?
Boulevard L by Costco.
By Costco, yes.
So.
And Kemp, the survey engineers were on site last week, so that's being finalized.
Well, last time this was discussed, it was my understanding that the as-built plans were not complete. So they've been completed?
For A and B.
The first phase of 1A, so the first two buildings, and the rest of the first phase, which is essentially the east part of the property facing Greenfield, have been staked and surveyed by Chemtech, who is a survey engineer, and they should be submitted to the city within the next 2-3 days.
So David, if the financing is there, then why is the progress so slow?
We're going through inspections weekly. It's a process. I mean, finishes are done on multiple floors. Working on the second building with elevators. I'm happy to walk everybody through to show exactly what we're doing on a daily basis.
You told us that people will be living there July of 25. It's now July
It's definitely, we're behind schedule. I'm the first one to admit that, and it's a headache for me more than anybody else in this room. I need people in those buildings more than anybody in the city needs people in those buildings. but we're doing it the right way. It's slower, but it's gonna be completed per this new amended schedule. We understood, we listened to the scheduled basis on starting the next few buildings and completing the first 2 buildings. We're working on the retail section. We're building out 3 restaurants as we speak. We're building out a barber shop. We're building out a nail salon in those buildings. So it's not only about the apartments. We're working on the site as we speak as well.
I understand that, and I've heard all of this. So, we're constantly asked, what's happening there? And I understand because, I'll give you some leeway. For John Grace School, it took us 5 years to get the financing. For Springwells, it took 7 years. Across the street, still not, and yet he got a grant for $138 million. So realistically, and I almost hate to ask this because I'd like you to hold your word to it, but when are people gonna live in Building A?
I can tell you that we have leases signed for Building A as inspections are being completed on the first floor. Which
For tenants?
Yes,
or
for tenants.
For businesses?
No, for tenants. We have multiple leases signed. We're working also close with Henry Ford on doing a master lease program because they have a huge need for housing with their resident doctors. We're taking applications daily. We're live on the website. We're live on apartments.com. And our staff is showing units. And as soon as our elevators are open, I've discussed this with Chuck and the building official on how we can open up a floor at a time. We're doing that on a weekly basis, like Fred mentioned.
All right, so what, the elevators are in, the generator is in, so is there a holdup now with the elevators?
The elevators go through an state inspection. It's not through us. Otis does their work. I was told today that they think they'll have them up and running by next week with inspections. They're operational, but they have to be inspected.
Well, and I'll give you that too, because I know you're at the mercy of the state, because the city does not control elevators.
Correct.
So it's not our building department, it's a state inspection. Well, sometimes when we go over there, we don't see anybody working. And we see no cars or trucks.
So we're actively working. Maybe some park in the back, some people are inside the building. We're actively on the site working. Like Fred mentioned, we're going to start this next phase of infrastructure, which is Boulevard E that connects us to Providence, which allows us to have that accessibility from the north side as well. That starts July 21st. We're waiting on a permit for demolition so we can start work for the soccer dome as well. And we're working actively in Building B with elevators and other components of electric and mechanicals.
So, it just seems to take way too long. Can you hire more people?
It's a tough labor market out there for not just myself, but for many contractors and many industries. But we are actively moving people across different states to come in. We have other projects through other states, so we can actively have, and the right people as well. Finishes are very important to us. The buildings are up, so we're not concerned with that. It's the finished product and what we're going to present to the residents and to the public.
So right now at both John Grace, Arms, and Springwells, we have so many workers that are tripping over each other. They are, they've got full contingent of people getting these buildings done. Springwells is going to be done probably in less than a month. With the townhouses and 72 apartments. I've said this to you before, I don't understand a business plan. I would think for the amount of money that's been spent on the first 2 buildings, you would have people in them because then you'd be collecting rent. Which would help your bottom line.
That is the ultimate goal. That is the ultimate objective, is to have people live there. and building a community like we've planned and set for years.
I know. All right.
Councilwoman Banks, you have a question?
I was hoping the building director would be here. Can a tower be open, like one floor at a time? I thought the whole thing had to be completed.
As long as there's life safety in place and there's a white box on the first floor of the retail, which is essentially a drywall ceiling and fire suppression, yes, you can. It passes life safety codes.
Okay. And then here, it says buildings A and B, the proposed, I'm assuming proposed means opening, March 31st, 2027.
Yeah, we extended dates out. I mean, our plan is to open up a lot sooner than that, but that also includes the second building, which is building B, but those are combined together.
So I guess in the paperwork that's in front of you, Mr. Zorn, what dates are gonna even be reflected on in that plan? I mean, is it
Well, I mean-
2027 for building A and B?
For buildings A and B, the end is March 31st of '27. But building A, you're getting finals in electrical, plumbing, unit by unit. I think Chuck did 6 last, one
He
day
did
last
12
week.
last week himself. Yeah.
And so it's, floor by floor, unit by unit.
And how many units are in building A?
100.
100.
And how much retail?
16 to 18,000 square feet of retail.
And that's fully leased up?
80% of both buildings is already leased up.
Okay.
Actively working and building those out as well.
Both buildings, so
Both
is
buildings.
building B up?
Yes.
Number, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, let's ask you a question.
That's all, thank you.
Yes, sir.
This is very elementary. Can we get a list, like a per chart, a list of everything that needs to be done, and a due date, just a list? Because we've been, that's where I always, in my entire life. This what needs to be done, this is the due date, and who's gonna do it? Can we get something like that? That's very elementary.
That's the document that I was referring to, and he's saying they're close.
Well, I want to see it. Can we get something like that?
Well, a permit or a Gantt chart, we need to develop where we need to put it, but we can do a chart on the dates we have. And we actually have a milestone table is what we're calling it.
Okay,
With deadlines
what did you
for
get?
each piece. And each piece ties to a different phase of the building. And the infrastructure gets built out incrementally and
Well, whatever we're talking about, just give me a list. Whatever we're talking about, there's so many subjects. This subject, here's the list. That subject, here's the list. That subject, here's the list. And that's about as ABC as it can get.
Or get us the document that you said you just about. And then you'll have it.
What is this third amendment?
Because we need that.
So, sir, what I think I'm hearing, so I'm not hearing that there's an integrated plan that has a critical path that shows the longest piece that's gonna require you to get to the finish state. But also what I haven't heard, there's pieces that's missing that's not on the timing or the phasing plan that shows, originally this was sold as a mixed use development. There's gonna be, you mentioned the barbershops and those restaurants, so that gives it some mixed use. But where are you with the concept of another retailer, food options, have those things going away?
No, they have not. I mean, we have an active hotel that's actively finalizing a plan based on having a sports complex on site. They're all part of that plan as well. We have a LOI, which is a letter of intent for a user to operate a personal training facility.
So you have signed agreements with entities that go in those places?
Yes, we have a jewelry district with signed entities as well. We have restaurants with purchase agreements and signed entities as well. So I mean, we've done over 400 different drawings and designs for different entities, whether it's restaurants, food halls, personal training clinics, large retail stores, and that is a fluid conversation, but these things also become even more in concrete when you have an active user like a sports complex, because then he needs a PT clinic and they need a brewery behind him. And the jewelers who have relocated from different facilities just around the corner want their own brand new facility. So that plan is actively being designed as we speak as well. The hotel goes with that as well.
So is there a detailed integrated plan that shows each phase, not just the milestones, but the work that's leading up to give you these high-level milestones?
I mean, again, that's everyday work. We have in-house leasing, in-house.
Was that a yes or a no?
Yes, yes.
Can you share that?
I can share what we have, yes, and that it's integrated, that's how we come up with that plan there.
And it has a critical path?
Exactly.
So the question that I had when we were talking about this earlier was, informing the agenda, was every day I drive downtown. So if you look on the boulevard, you see buildings on both sides of the boulevard. There has a flurry of activity and development. There's been a whole Hudson building built. So kind of depending on the mayor's point, or supporting the mayor's point, if you are waiting for inspections on a building, why can't you not start on another building?
We are though, that's the plan there.
There's a plan, okay, which building is that?
We're completing the first building and we're inside the second building, completing that, getting it ready for completion. And then there's a plan there that shows when we want to start the next two buildings. Financing is being underwritten and finalized for those as well.
So when I go back to the term, liquidity appears to be available.
It's there, yeah. We've all.
But you just said you're still seeking funding.
No, I didn't say that. I said financing is there for the next two buildings. I'm not seeking it. We have term sheets for it.
I have any more questions. Thank you.
Okay. I can't hardly hear you over there.
Understood.
We just need to stop.
Please.
Oh, you can stop.
Any other questions for David? Yes, ma'am.
Just a comment. I've spoken to several jewelers in the advanced building and mentioned the proposal. None of them are even aware of it. So I don't know who.
We have 16 leases signed.
Do you?
Yes.
Okay, but I don't know who's communicating to who.
Golden Sun is the number one, the largest store in the old advanced building, which had over 6,000 square feet. They've committed to the building. And I can give you a list of other ones that are going to potentially move into Northland Towers as temporary space until the building is built. We have over 16 leases signed for those.
I mean, and this is just totally not David's problem, but it just seems like there's been a lot of misinformation regarding the advanced building, who's been notified, who hasn't been notified. We're talking, I mean, it's a whole separate subject, so just FYI, talk to you about.
So we've been informed that the advanced building is shutting down. It's gonna be going through the demo.
Right, but some of the tenants can't even get their stuff out, and they removed everything, they can't even breathe in there.
That's
They got
something with the
safes and-
property.
So all the 16 tenants that we have signed, all of their safes we've stored in one of our buildings. It's just to give them space, because they were, I think it's about a month old now that they're allowed to get inside the advanced building and take out all their safes and their jewelry and everything that comes with it.
I've seen the correspondence that was copied on it that went to every tenant in the building. I believe Ms. Lalone was also copied on it.
Well, check to see if someone was on that list, so there's a few people that were missed.
Well, then if you know them, connect them with Mr. Devereux.
Any other questions or comments? Yes.
I was just gonna say, what I wanted was just the document. I'm happy with the progress that you're saying you have. Obviously, the taxes will be paid. And, I just want us to stay on track and get that finished. And especially get it done before we come back to vote. That would be my ask.
Yeah, I think that's very vital.
So,
just wanna to point out, this is a big project. And yes, there's been delays. I can tell you when you're renovating a house, you have delays. Road construction, you have delays. And I think what the pro tem just said is, if we have this document, and it sounds like almost everything has been completed on this document, we get it signed, then we can hold them to it. We do this change, we have another thing to hold you to it. There's a lot of changes. Costco wasn't on the original plan. I was there yesterday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That place was busy. There's I can even tell you, I know we're going to talk about this next with the sports dome. There's people who I know have already called me to say, hey, who do we call to rent it? My son plays soccer. I know their league kept sending out press releases and saying, hey, we have signed this lease for this indoor sports dome, and we're going to come into Southfield. We're going to have tournaments. And it goes back to the fluidity that we keep talking about. There's so much changes. If we talked to David, a few months ago, he would have said, "Why don't we need a jewelry store? We have the advanced building. We don't need a jewelry district." Well, now we do. So there's so many moving parts. I think as long as we can, and then it makes the city satisfied and the council satisfied that we have things in writing, signed documents with timelines, and we hold him to it. I think we're on the right path. I did speak to David because when I saw this, I called him. I'm like, "Hey, what's going on? Can you give me an update prior to the meeting?" He's like, "You know what? Find some time, come down. We'll go on a tour. I'll show you what we're doing, all the inspections, and." Cause I did. I told him. I said, "Hey, I drove down the other day, and I didn't see anybody working." He's like, "They're all inside. They're working." Now, I can come, take him up on his offer and go inside and take a look, because I remember what it looked like last year when we went in. But I think this is really, it is gaining momentum. It is on apartments.com, not as prominently as I would have liked, but it is there. And it is an exciting venture. There is a lot of fluidity with how things are going, and I think that, once those buildings start opening and people start moving in, it's going to speed it up. Just the fact that, when the sports dome was first proposed, we had that lawyer, that attorney, and I don't know who went to some video where he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna open up a sports bar, and I'm gonna open up a physical therapy place."
This is the one that, yes.
Right. So it's moving in the right direction, just not as fast as.
It'll be a domino
unfortunately
effect.
Right, so I think we're headed in the right direction, and I definitely understand frustration from your side, from the city's side, from the public's side. But I think that this document that we were hoping would have been signed by now really would hold you to it. But it is nice to see the project, moving forward and, building that momentum. So hopefully we can finalize it, hold you to it, and keep going. That's
Councilwoman Bland?
I just have a question, really, and it's more for the administration. Mr. Brightwell kind of mentioned a checklist. And so we're kind of trying to track the progress of everything on our own. You throw things, you tell us things like, the taxes were paid today, security and fencing. You're trying to get the permitting engineer to move the soil inside of the fence. I don't know if you have someone that can handle like a project management sheet for us, but it would help to see the progress as it goes along, right? And I think that's somewhat what we're asking for. Just on our end, who's managing the project? There's so many moving pieces. It probably would help to not have you having to regurgitate information if there was just a working document that we all could reference, and then it's incumbent upon us to read it, right? Instead of you trying to keep up with every single moving piece, and then we can do the comparisons for ourselves. I just think it's difficult to always come to the table and you're trying to, like you said, there's 1,000 moving pieces. And you're literally trying to spit them out on the fly. And I think it just becomes difficult for us to manage all of it. You have to manage all of it, but if there was just a working sheet, it might help us to have that type of organization to managing this project.
Support.
And so it's just a recommendation, you know, I don't know what the bandwidth of your team looks like, but I surely could say it might be helpful as we keep coming to the table with iteration after iteration to actually have a sheet, a database, whatever it looks like, comparing the progress. He said he has 100 units, 12 are complete, right? So we're at 12% completion rate. Even if it was that much, we would be able to tell if we weren't on track ourselves, right? Because if you tell me that we're at 86%, and he's saying that he's gonna open, did you say March of 27?
That's the timeline for both
Right.
buildings, but yeah.
If we're at 87% in January, we're on the mark, right? No one will have to ask, are we on track, right? Because we can see it in real time. So it's just a recommendation to kind of
So this is 2029.
stop that.
Building 2, building 8, 2029.
Yeah.
Did you say 27? That's the one.
No, it's phase 1B. This is phase 1B.
I agree. Transparency. Any other questions for the developer? Thank you, sir. Item H, presentation and discussion regarding the proposed site plan to construct a sports building at Northland City Center.
I'll just try to give you a high level overview since, but if you recall, when we first started this conversation, golf domes were prohibited. Council went through a public hearing, approved what we're calling a sports and recreation dome to allow this project to move forward, and we had overcome the architecture of the dome versus the design guidelines of mid-century modern. Since that time, we've worked very closely with the developer and his architects so that at least the entry building into the sports dome fits the mid-century modern, the brick, the limestone, the design, fits the original Hudson's building and the mall, as well as the 3-foot required durable material around the base of the building is brick with a design element that matches Northland. They received favorable approval from the planning commission. We have vetted the parking. I don't believe there's any waivers that is required. And we're in a position, when it comes back to you next week, to make a favorable recommendation on the site plan of the sports dome. That being said, the developer does have some responsibilities to provide the infrastructure and the roadway to get to the site, and to work with the building department on a demolition plan to remove the wall for the basement, have that filled and shored up so that they can build the pad in order for the sports dome to move forward. But as far as the developer and the architect of the sports dome, we're satisfied that they've met all of our site plan requirements and the design requirements of the ODD to recommend favorable approval on the site plan. And I don't know if you guys have any additional comments. We'll have the PowerPoint up and running next week, but we had some technical difficulties today, so that's why I wanted to say I'm comfortable with the progress that's been made by your team to make a favorable recommendation on the site.
No, thank you. Yeah, I'm Jeff Platt with Krieger Platt Architects, 400 East Lincoln in Royal Oak. Mr. John Hartzell is here as well, the developer of the project. And yeah, Mr. Crowe summarized that very eloquently. That's exactly what we've done. We've worked hard over the past few months to update our design to make sure that the building reflects the city's goals as well as the development's goals. And we're proud of the design. So if we have any questions, we'd be more than happy to answer. We do have a PowerPoint that we put together, and I guess we can show that next week. That kind of highlights some of those items that you mentioned. But we'd be more than happy to answer any questions you have.
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Van.
No, I mean.
Oh, I thought I saw him.
Just curiosity, I don't wanna keep delivering everything, but there's, some of the pictures, it showed, it said view from auxiliary building, but on any of the drawings, I don't see an auxiliary building. Do you know what that
It's
is?
probably misterminology. Really, the auxiliary building is the small entry component. So we have the dome, the 120,000 square foot dome is a small building that really allows you to gain access to it. It contains restrooms, but it's really the entry point.
We're calling it the entrance building. It has the restrooms and the staffing.
On the map, they keep auxiliary
I
building. so-
understand.
Okay.
It's just terminology that they're using versus what
We'll clear up, if we're allowed to, we'll clear up our PowerPoint for next week.
So is that the only entrance into the building? Because you have parking on both sides.
There's there's a site plan drawing that was within that presentation that shows a bunch of stars. There's a bunch of points around the building you can gain, and you can exit, but it's more for emergency.
They're
The
mostly
primary-
emergency, Ari, and then the back side of the building's for overflow parking and for employees.
Okay.
Now, we even calculated shift changes. So not only did we have them provide the maximum of a user, whether it's soccer, baseball, or combination, but we anticipated that, hey, as one group is going off, another group is coming in. So we wanted to make sure they had adequate parking, so we didn't, on shift changes for users, that we weren't short.
Okay.
And then the back side of the parking will also support some of the auxiliary sports bars and other things that are likely to happen at the former mall building.
Got it.
The dome is pressurized, so it's really that one primary entry point. The other ones are just exit for life safety purposes.
And that's fine. I kept looking for some auxiliary building on this drawing.
My mistake, we'll clarify that. Thank you.
Okay, and then the other thing that was mentioned earlier with the Northland discussion was, are they building a road to Jail Hudson Drive, or is that?
That's the developer is doing that.
That David's doing that, not the dome.
David is building that. If you drive by, it is cut. Starts July 21st. All the pipe has been moved there because that'll be the sewer that goes alongside of it. And then they'll build a road that heads west and wraps around the dome.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Councilwoman Haynes?
Just wanted to know if we could possibly do the presentation before next Monday, so we can see. If
Well,
we could.
it is in your packet. We did receive updates today,
Okay.
so we'll make sure the updated is in your packet.
Okay.
And I was actually set up in the other room
Okay.
to present, and the smart board threw me off, and then the keyboard wasn't working, so I apologize. We include those PowerPoints in your packets.
And the timeframe is still the same.
You guys are still scheduled to be open by the end of the year, correct?
Yeah, that's our target.
Councilwoman Banks?
Okay, so if we don't have the signed paperwork for Northland, where does it put this project next week?
Well, everything is predicated on the ODD being approved in order for them to move forward. It's kind of like a rezoning. If the rezoning doesn't happen, the special land use doesn't happen. That's why this is after the ODD. So they're reliant on your approval of the ODD next week, and then we can move forward with the site plan, otherwise it's gonna be delayed.
And I believe your question's about the supplemental development agreement. That's.
Well, yes, the supplement, you are correct, which I'm not sure why both of them are on the same evening, because if we don't have that supplemental agreement signed, why is this even on the agenda? I mean, both of them at the same time. It would seem like we would have had Northland one week and then the sports dome the following week.
If I could, we back out 2 months. So if you recall, this was both items were here in May.
I understand.
We postponed the ODD for the Northland to give time for the sports dome to catch up. And then the timing of when they wanted to be open brought them both together on July 20th. You do not have another meeting in July. So then I would push it to August. So if the supplemental development agreement is in the condition to be approved, and you approve the ODD, then you can act on the sports dome that night without penalizing them an additional month So we were trying, and we have public notices and so forth, we were trying to align everything so they would not be delayed any further than they already have.
Well, I understand, but if we don't have the agreement, then what happens, Mr. Crowe?
Then they're gonna be delayed, and we've been saying that for 3 months.
Okay, and I know we talked about, the sports dome and thought it was soccer, now I'm seeing lacrosse.
Well,
Is that something-
again, we did not want to limit it to one sport. We wanted it to be multiple sports, and I think it was a misnomer to call it a soccer dome from the beginning. We're the ones that called it a sports and recreation dome in the the supplemental development agreement to give them the greatest flexibility that whatever their needs are, they can accommodate. So if it's baseball practice, or basketball, or soccer, or football, they have the ability to do all that, and we didn't want to limit to just soccer. And it really should have been called the sports dome from the first place. So we made that clarification in the documents.
Okay, thank you. And, so, Mr. Zorn, you will let us know whether the supplemental development agreement is signed before the meeting?
We're down to, for a lot of red line versions of this, and we was on the phone most of the afternoon.
Thank you.
And it's been evolving. I mean,
I understand, but I thought you said it had to be signed, so.
Councilwoman Bland?
I just have a quick question about the parking spaces. I see you have 79.5 for soccer use, and then you have 62.5 for baseball. Is that cumulative? So are we adding the basically 80 plus the 63 to say that's how many you need overall? Or are you breaking it down to say how many you need if baseball is being played and if soccer is being played?
That's a great question. So I believe we have 70 up front for the main entries, we have 84 in the back.
Okay.
Facility. The way we broke it out is we looked at it as, let's say, worst case scenario, where we have soccer, we have an 11v11 game going on and a 7v7 game. So we have 2 games going on. And like Mr. Kroger mentioned, we accounted for, there's a whole breakdown in our presentation, there's a whole breakdown of the number of players per team, the coaches, the staff in the building, and it gets to a total. And we doubled that because there could be teams in the queue coming in for the next game. And then we did is we divided that by 4 parking requirements to come up with that. And we're well under, if we combine the 70, 84. Soccer's probably the worst case from a parking standpoint, because that whole building's utilized. We're still under the need. For baseball, we looked at that too, because there could be 2 games going on at the same time.
Right.
Same thing, number of kids per team, 2 to 3 coaches per team, referees, you name it. Umpires, I should say, in baseball. But same thing, we doubled that, we looked at the math that too, and that was less than the soccer need. So I think for both, I mean, generally speaking, and John can attest to this, during the week when it's practice, kids are getting dropped off.
For sure.
You know, when the games are going on, it's a little bit different, or tournaments are going on, but we would never max those spaces out.
I guess my concern is when you go to the total sports complex in Farmington, sometimes people are actually parking on that road because it's so packed. And I think one thing that you mentioned was you wanted some ancillary things like a sports bar and things like that. What happens when you have a game, families decide, now we're going to the sports bar. They're not leaving. They're gonna stay in that spot because we want this to be a walkable urban district. So I just wanted to make sure that you compensate for the fact that when a game is over, it doesn't mean that everybody is leaving, right? Because that's our whole point, is to bring people there to stay and do the things that families do. I just want to make sure that Greenfield and 8 Mile don't end up being spaces to park, or you don't encroach on the residential parking because you have not actually, made adjustments to ensure that you have ample parking, because you probably will get carryover. Everybody's not gonna go home. So I just wanted to lift that in case that wasn't something that you had thought of, because we would rather need it or have it and not need it than need it and not have it, right?
No, that's an excellent point, but when we do look at the numbers in the PowerPoint, you'll see there's still a significant amount of spaces left for that.
Understood.
And I think we looked at worst case, where there's 1.5 family members per
Yep.
player, so that
I saw that. I saw the
it's
yes.
maxed out. We
Okay.
wanted to make sure that we were safe, so we built in a bit of coverage for that.
And
If I
as-
could, Councilwoman Bland,
Yes.
as those other uses come on, we'll require additional parking for those
Parking,
uses.
okay.
But it was a commission that said, give us the worst case scenario, and then what would the next group coming in be like?
Okay, I
And
saw the
then-
queue.
Yeah.
but- Okay. And then my next question is just to remind you that you have some home teams here in Southfield, and as you progress, it would be great, Southfield A's baseball team, Southfield Falcons football team, just to incorporate those home teams into your planning. I think it would be greatly appreciated. Oh, Lawrence Tech, yes, OCC, I mean, out here we're
A lot of
trying
those
to-
conversations have already started.
For sure. So,
Council, any other questions?
Excellent points.
Thank you. Item I, presentation and discussion regarding the proposal to construct the new Kroger fuel station.
So this item, again, will come back to you next week. It's regarding a proposed conditional rezoning. They're gonna limit the uses pretty much to the fuel station and disregard all the other unintended consequence uses in the district. And then because it's a gas station, it will require special land use as well. I know there was some other site issues that were tied to this development, and there was other issues that were brought up about the condition of the Kroger store and the shopping center. And I believe we have representatives from all three parties, the fuel station, the shopping center, and Kroger's themselves. So I'd like them to just take a few minutes and update the council on what has transpired in the last 12 to 15 months since this was before us before. And then we'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Through the chair, Matthew Biscoe, representing the Kroger Company of Michigan, 37225 St. Martin's. Thank you, Mr. Crowe, Planning Department, Planning Commission, and your thoughtful guidance. Hopefully we'll get this across the finish line. We're proposing to raise the existing bank in the northwest corner and rezone from B2 to B3. General business, so we have a contiguous parcel with the Kroger grocery store that exists. As Mr. Crowe mentioned, there's kind of three legs to the stool. There's the standalone fuel station, which is pretty straightforward. It's a category of the Kroger company. It's run by Kroger employees, and it's not a traditional convenience store. It's only 198 square foot kiosk, which will need a variance because it's actually too small. We have a big convenience store behind it. It's a Kroger grocery store. Then you have the overarching shopping center condition and the internal traffic. We did a traffic study for the internal movements and had a lot of recommendations on what needed to occur there to control traffic in, out, and within the interior. And all of those improvements are shown on the parking improvement plan C103, which we have committed to affecting as part of this Kroger fuel project. Being a redevelopment, we're not asking for any new curb cuts. It's all internal to the grocery store and the shopping center parking. As it relates to the grocery store, I have people far more brighter than me with Kroger facilities to answer the improvements in the store and the myriad investments that they've made over time. I mean, you guys are all familiar with this process. We've been hitting at this for a few years now, so there's a long list of improvements and highlights that we've gone back and forth, but I think we finally put all the pieces together and are in the process of doing that. We have subject matter experts on both the fuel need. We have representation from the landlord, the property manager, and all categories of Kroger real estate, store manager, and construction facilities. So it's your questions, however you want, will direct the right person to answer the questions.
Council, any questions? Sir?
Just, this probably has nothing to do with your plan, but the CVS building that's next door to their fuel station, their proposed fuel station,
Yes.
is anything gonna happen with that, or that's staying put?
It's staying as it is right now. We have no option on that. We're asking to take the bank parcel and convert that.
Okay, and then Terry, did I see correctly that part of their proposal is if it's no longer a Kroger store or a fuel station, everything will get?
That's part of the conditional rezoning, they agreed to remove it.
And that includes all environmental issues and things like that?
They would be required to do that anyways, but.
Yeah, through the chair.
Before you go, I know we have a representative from the shopping center.
Yes.
Can you give an update on the drugstore? Because I've heard a couple different possible tenants in there.
Yes, sir. Hi, my name is Ron Hall. I'm the property manager for Vernon Properties, 9263 Cumberland Court, Commerce Township. I'm a property manager for Vernon Properties, and we have a signed lease on the CDS with Detroit Furniture Company, who has begun work in there and plan to open in the next couple of months. They're in permitting.
So I wanted the council to be aware there is a tenant that is coming in there and they have a signed lease.
Okay.
So I didn't think Matt addressed that. He said, do they have any interest? But there is somebody that has an interest.
Yeah, we're very happy about that.
Matt, do you want to come in and respond to the other question?
Yes. Through the chair, the conditional rezone agreement is very prohibitive from Kroger's perspective in that we've agreed if it's a Kroger fuel station, those are the conditions we live with. If it's not a Kroger fuel station, it can revert back to its original zone. The whole thrust of this is that we cross-merchandise that fuel station with the grocery store to build brand loyalty. It's another category. It's staffed by Kroger employees. Whether it's in this economy or the most booming economy, we offer, unlike Costco, we do sell to the street, but for our loyal customers, you can get up to 10 cents a gallon, all the way up to $1 a gallon off, contingent on the amount of groceries you have purchased. So there is an incentive that creates loyalty between the two. It's 6 full-time employees equivalent. It maintains the store's hours, so it's not an independent fuel station. It's essentially a cash register for the grocery store. All transactions are tallied in the store. It's a really nice, in a perfect world, when Kroger develops a new grocery store, we always want the fuel contiguous with that. Keeps trips inside the parcel. And then the traffic management plan, we've got lots of things to mitigate fire lane control, pedestrian access. At the fuel station, north of it, we have pedestrian landing zones, the bench, the trash can. If the proximity of the trash can to the bench has to move, we'll gladly do that. But we do have connectivity to 12 Mile Road. Although it was kind of wonky in how it was performed, it's still under review. The entrance only geometrics, the shape of how we can enter the site is going to be reviewed because people under some conditions are exiting out that. We can mitigate that by changing the shape of that, so it's a very unnatural movement to try and depart through that northwest approach. So that's us in a nutshell. There are several items within the parking lot, something that had been pushed over with the stone soffits. All of those items that have been brought up throughout this process are going to be addressed and completed as part of the fuel station project.
When I did my recent site inspection, it looked like there was been some patching in the parking lot, some curb replacement on the islands. It looked like they were going to restripe. There was a couple areas that were roped off for the restriping, so I imagine maybe the property management can address the staging of that. 12 Mile exit had been closed, and we actually observed people going out illegally from the turn-in only. But I think part of that problem was there was very limited access and no access to 12 Mile at the time when we observed it. So maybe the property manager could address that. And then finally, the Kroger representative can talk about the major upgrades you're doing and what has been done today.
At the center, we did a significant amount of concrete work. We did a significant amount of work paving the center and sealing and striping. And my understanding is, I mean, it was 90% complete this morning. My understanding is 100% complete now. The entrance exit only, I got approved from the city engineer to make it much more difficult for someone to exit that area. And the problem with the entrance only is that there's a turnaround on Evergreen right directly across from it. And you know, there was some discussion about potentially making it an entrance exit only. And you know, I brought up the fact that we'd certainly entertain doing that, not a problem, could do it, but it doesn't make any sense whatsoever unless the city is going to close that turnaround directly across from the entrance only area. The additional things that we've done at the center, I mean, we painted the entire Mansard roof. We're very proud of the fact that we got a tenant finally for the CVS building, because we were a breath away from tearing the building down because of the tremendous amount of tax on the building and the number of Rite Aids that are available throughout the city. So we're very happy that we got a tenant there who's committed to sign a long-term lease and will be in operation in a couple of months.
And the representative from the Kroger store.
We're going to call it.
Mark,
oh, go ahead.
Yeah, through the chair, Garrett Foley from the Kroger company.
Okay, Foley, construction manager for Kroger, 40399 Grand River Avenue, Novi. The store there was last remodeled in 2018. We heard from you guys there's some improvements that we need to make to get it up to where what your constituents deserve. So some of the items that we touched in there, any case that hadn't been touched in that 2018 remodel, we replaced it. So that included 160 feet of dairy cases, 36 feet of beverage cases, 44 feet of produce cases, new deli cases, and we adjust the lineup there. New meat islands, 6 foot of seafood case, 4 doors of frozen meat cases, new bakery fixtures, new produce tables, new front end merchandisers, all new exterior signage. We repainted the existing cases in the store that were replaced in the 2018 remodel. Shelving across the store, about 80% of that was replaced. Then we updated some decor in the vestibule. Another major item that we have at the store is the floors. We actually spent $50,000 replacing VCT in that store, but with the traffic we have and everything, we saw that's just not holding up. So currently, we are going to take up all the VCT is in process now, and we're going to polish the concrete floors there.
You mean the tiles, right?
VCT, yeah, vinyl tiles, and also.
They don't understand what VCT.
My apologies. The white in the store, the white tile, the main tile in the grocery portion, that's all being taken up, and also the wood-looking LVT tile in the produce area, that's going to be taken up. It's going to go to concrete. Yeah, so then it's going to be polished. Then also we replace some of the entrance doors there.
But you haven't done the flooring yet?
It's in process right now.
Okay, because it hadn't started two and a half weeks ago.
It started
we were there on the 23rd.
Thursday, last Thursday.
If you've been in the back corner where the dairy is, the first 3 aisles are all stripped.
Right, so there were some photos that were shown in the presentation that indicated the concrete floors were done.
Oh, sorry, that wasn't to mislead, that was more to show what the finished product is going to look like.
Right, it wasn't labeled that way, so my colleague and I were comparing and contrasting, and we thought that that's possibly what you were suggesting, so you need to update that before we show it next week.
Understood.
And give us a timeline on when the floors are going to be complete.
Understood.
But anyways, we wanted to give you the update today under the study session. If you have any specific questions about the fuel station, the special land use or the conditional zoning, we try to address those. Those will be coming back
next Monday for your consideration.
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Mandelbaum.
Ron, can you speak to the other vacancies? This has been a concern of mine, that we need more traffic at the mall. So you know, it's been years that CVS moved out. Obviously, the whole drugstore business overexpanded. Those of us that were around 20 years ago said, we can't believe that they're gonna keep building more and more drugstores. And now we're, you know, obviously we're seeing the whole flip in the drugstore business. I know we lost the bagel shop, the eyeglass place went. So what is
the tattoo place went.
I'm sorry?
The tattoo place has been replaced by a brow lady who's doing very well. Remodeled the store, looks great. We lost the tax service business that was next to the cleaners. And we have an eyeglass gentleman, Southfield resident, who is trying to get an eyeglass store going there. I mean,
where America Best is?
No, sir.
Oh.
It's like nobody, we've shown, there has been interest in America's Best. We showed it to a potential Leo's Coney, but they declined for a secondary market. The New York Bagel, we have a gentleman who is interested in installing a smoked meat takeout location. He has one currently in Southfield, and he was thinking about trying to partner with the bank across the street to store some of his meat, and seemed very knowledgeable and interested. A couple of partners, so the old dress barn, still vacant. Ivan's Soup Place moved from its old location to take part of the dress barn, and we have a lady, really smart lady, Sharia, who has been working on opening Chip Cookie there for about, well, we're going on close to a year. She's been trying to get open, and she's very close. Smart lady. She's a program analyst for Henry Ford, and have gone through major inspections, hope to have it open in the next month or so. And told her recently, heard an article, newsflash, that the fastest growing businesses right now are cookies. Crumble Cookie is one of the fastest growing businesses. And so she's done her projection and model, and thinks she's going to do very well. We're still working on a couple of the vacancies, and you know, it's just a tough market, but we're hoping that, you know, the fuel center will bring additional traffic into the center and help the rest of the center, quite frankly.
Well, as I said last year when we were discussing this, the United States leads the world in retail space on a per capita basis. We have about 27 square feet of retail per every person in this country. We're down the list is Canada and Australia. You go to European countries and it's less than 10 square feet. So this is a problem for everyone, especially with the shift in online shopping. People are, you know, doing a lot of going away from brick and mortar. I think the young lady that spoke under communications this evening had very valid points. The grocery business is a tough business. I'm concerned about the viability of that center. And I do believe that the Kroger gas station would draw more traffic there. I know people that swear by these programs, whether it's Costco's gas or somebody else, and they'll travel for miles to shop because they want the gas discount. It almost becomes a destination rather than just a neighborhood supermarket. Well, I'm glad you've got some good news because I'm in the center regularly. We have an account at the UPS store. I've seen all the cement work that's been done. Last year, the roof, new roof was put on the center. The parking lot is generally always clean. And I know Mr. Benno to be a responsible landlord. I wish some of the other landlords in the city were as diligent about their properties as he has been. So, thank you for that.
Well, the UPS store owner mentioned to me the other day when his lease is up, he needs to upgrade the store, and he wanted to go and take a look at the America's Best. So we're hopeful that might come to fruition.
He's busy all the time.
Oh yeah, he's really busy. He stays busy.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I'll mention about the fuel center is, I've been watching the price of gas. I watch it at every station I go by, but in particular the two stations across the street. And having been to the last year's planning meeting and then city council and the people that are negative about having another fuel center, for the citizens of Southfield, I would tell you that without the Kroger fuel points, the citizens within Southfield will save about 30 cents a gallon. The gentleman across the street doesn't want competition. So, and the traffic study, which was 34 pages long, had every statistic known to mankind, and it proved that, in fact, the fuel center is as safe as it was when the bank and the CVS were there. So, and at one point, I don't know if it was planning last year or city council said, well, it doesn't seem like Kroger really cares, because there's nobody here from Kroger. The senior vice president in charge of real estate's here, and there's about 8 Kroger people that are at this meeting who have integral parts in putting this whole thing together. And they're committed, totally committed, to improving the store and the whole operation, as evidenced by the significant amount of money they put into it. And, we had talked previously, hoping that the fuel center was going to be approved, about extending the Kroger grocery store lease. So we're hoping that all of this comes together and that we get approval.
I'll just say one other thing. If I were the strip center across the street, I would not want you to take away that turn-in to go to the small strip center across the street from the bank.
Right.
Because people come up Evergreen Road, and that's their direct cut into the driveway for those retail businesses. I know it's a problem.
Well, as I mentioned before, in planning commission last year, there was a planning commissioner who said, oh, I've gone out that exit, and I called the police department to find out what the fine would be. And last year it was $145. I'm sure if I was able, and the owner let me put $145 fine on that sign, there'd be fewer people exiting there.
All right, thank you.
Councilman?
I'm just looking at the traffic study. Should this go through, will you be implementing the recommendations?
Yes, that's part of the traffic control.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Councilwoman Bland?
How long will construction take, and when would you start? There's gonna be a school being built on 12 Mile. So I foresee that you both will have a lot of construction that's happening at the same time. 12 Mile and Evergreen will be very congested.
Through the chair, this would be a spring 2027 project. We may raise the bank earlier to get that out of the way, but that's all gonna be intrasite.
Okay.
So, not, when Mr. Benno did all the streetscape improvements, all the walls and the fences, those are staying in place. We have to protect those. So we're really site inward for the fuel station.
But your construction machinery, it doesn't have to use the street at all? No?
No,
Okay.
no, everything is internal to the site.
Okay.
It's a glorious thing to be internal.
Sounds good. Glorious.
Construction geek.
Councilman Haynes?
Well, what engagement have you had with the community and the local businesses in the area, the non-gas station businesses?
I'm gonna have to.
Could be wrong.
Yeah.
The neighborhood association?
I'm sorry, could I hear the question
What
again?
engagement have you had with the community, the local businesses, the homeowners associations in the area?
Well, actually, I think we have a representative from one of the homeowner association representing 500 homes here. And they, and she, as the president, are in support of the fuel center. I also have over 100 petitions signed by customers of the center. And last time I didn't have the city on there, and somebody said, well, how do we know where they're from? 90% of the petitions that I have, over 100, are from Southfield. I also have a petition from 19 of the store managers or owners requesting that the city council approve the fuel center.
So you just have one homeowners association?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, have you engaged with any of the others?
We haven't really contacted, we didn't contact people in the area because we know, as the Kroger fuel gentleman pointed out earlier in the previous presentation last year, you know, from a traffic flow standpoint, the Kroger customers don't come during rush hour, they come throughout the day to get groceries. But in terms of like trying to reach out to people in the area, what we have done instead is tried to make the center, you know, a diamond within the city of Southfield. Beautify it, putting flowers in, painting it. I think it looks 10 years newer. And with seal coated striping and the painting of the facade, you know, it's a beautiful center now.
We had one homeowners association that had quite a few petitions last time that were against it, and I would think that there would be a whole association you might want to reach out to let them know of the improvements and things, because that to me seems like something they would want to know to maybe understand where you're going forward.
Well, as I think it's pretty obvious if you go back to the previous meetings, the gentleman that owns the 2 gas stations tried to rally support saying the kids are going to be there, it's a traffic problem, and we proved that that's not the case. The gas station's not selling candy, doesn't have TVs, it's only selling gas. So
He wasn't a part of the association, though.
Yes, he is. He came.
Yeah, but he wasn't a part of the association. I'm speaking of a different association that's in the area that has some concerns that did read. Yeah, and I'm just asking to reach back out to them because you said you.
if I'd be happy to reach out to them if I knew who you were talking about.
Kingsley Estates.
Kingsley Estates?
I'm just saying that that's a major area, 12 Mile Road, regardless of the other gas stations. You're talking traffic. I mean, you have people that live on even the other side of 12 Mile that come there that are talking about the traffic. And I mean, the interest is a traffic study and also what has been done for improvements, you know, and what has been said about the store. I mean, the improvements do matter if someone has a negative opinion about the store and they live in the area. If they don't know the new improvements and you haven't reached out to them, how would they know? That's just my concern. I mean, you have one homeowners association, but that's just one.
Well, I would think that if they live in the area and they need groceries, they've probably been to the center. But, you know, in the traffic study, it was pointed out, you know, they said, oh, the congestion will be bad, it'll cause more wrecks, there's backups, this, that, and the other. all of that was disproven. And in the last 5 years, there have been 7 accidents there, one of which the lady turned the wrong way going down Evergreen, and another was during the middle of winter, a gentleman slid out on the 12 mile and caused a wreck. The 5 accidents that occurred at the intersection, according to the study, there were no major injuries, no hospitalizations, no deaths. I mean, so, you know, the traffic study proved that traffic is not an issue.
How does this Kroger store rates in regards to the other Kroger stores in the area?
Well, it's not on the top end of the market. I mean, the Kroger people could answer that, you know, but the viability of the store is greatly enhanced by having the gas station. I've talked to a number of customers that come into the center and they go, I don't want to have to drive 3 miles to go to the Kroger gas station, and up 3.5 miles.
But you know some of them do drive that far to go to other Kroger.
Some of them what?
I'm saying, they drive further to go to other Krogers. And that's been the issue. I'm just saying that's the key thing.
Well, as the mayor pointed out, he was very concerned about the viability of the center. And approving yet the fuel center for the center will improve the center and the long-term viability, which I'm sure, you know, the city council wants to approve. And they want to save money for everybody. 30 cents a gallon. Get 10 cents off, now you're at 40 cents a gallon.
But I have to shop at the Kroger store to get the gas.
No,
In
you
order to
don't
get the
have.
points, in order to get the points, you have to shop at the Kroger store.
You do.
Yes, that's correct.
Yes. Yeah, you
Okay,
get,
but my point is, why would I come to a gas station if I don't want to come to the store? I'm just saying.
because the gas is 30 cents a gallon cheaper.
But the food is expired with mold on it, and the store is dirty.
I'm sorry.
Can we please have the audience quiet
They're
down?
improving the
please?
quality interior of the store. The thing that they've spent over $1.5 million on the store.
I only wanted to make the point because that's what has been constantly been said.
Can we have the audience quiet
And
down,
I'm just
please?
relaying it because that's what's been said and that's what has been the consensus. And I wanted to, excuse me, I'm talking here. And so that,
I was asking her, I was asking you to
When she
please.
talking, why
I'm
you
asking,
talking to me? Let her talk.
that's been the consensus of the people in the neighborhood. And I've talked to them while I was out campaigning, and that's what was said. And I'll be honest with you, several of them have said to me, are you supporting the Kroger store? That was the first, this is just for voting, you know, for voting. And my point was, it's coming here, you all need to speak out against it. If you want to speak out against it, speak for it and say that. And that's why I asked that you go to the neighborhoods, other than just the one that spoke positively, which I understand that, and you do need that positive feedback. But there's a massive amount of people that are saying different, and that need to hear what you're talking about with the improvements. And they just, some of them outright said, I don't even go to that store. And I'm telling you, I've said this before.
And I understand that, which is why I've been, from the last meeting, and there was a subsequent meeting with the mayor and 3 of the city council people about what we needed to do to get the fuel center approved. And, you know, one of the quotes was, we would love to have a Kroger fuel center when the store gets upgraded. It has been upgraded, and it is in the thing that has looked the worst in the store. And I've been after Kroger about this for 6 months, and I'm happy to report it's the white VA tile floor that looks bad in there, and it doesn't look good. So I'm thrilled that they're going to remove it all and polish it to a high gloss. The store's going to look almost brand new with the money they've already spent in there and the shelving and so on.
I said something before, but I'm going to say this and I'm going to be done. When I go shopping, it's a given to me that a store should be clean. It's a given that a store should be updated. And if it's not, I don't go. And the other thing is when I go shopping, there are certain things that I buy at a particular store. When I went back, some of those things you had taken out and you changed it around and they're no longer there. And when I go to other Krogers, I go there because they have a massive of things that I can get that I can't get in my Kroger. That's a big issue to me. And when you go in a circle of buying and constantly going, I'm not gonna do that loop. I'm not gonna do the gas station loop, the grocery store loop. It's like I wanna make sure those things are there. And I've even put in requests for some things before. And I haven't been in there recently to say anything about the 20 minutes or anything. I am grateful that you have done that. To me, a lot of the residents have thought that it was just because of where it was located that it was like that. It wasn't being paid attention to or what have you. So I'm just only relaying what's been said. But for myself as a resident, I go where I can get the vast majority of the things that I need in a store that has been constantly, consistently upgraded and clean and has the things that I need, and that's how I shop.
Well, that was one of the concerns that the city council had in the last meeting, which is why, and Kroger listened, and they're acting. They spent a lot of money on things that weren't visual. The floor is very visual. That's being replaced, and it's gonna look outstanding.
Okay, one thing I can say is there are some nice employees there that are very good and committed, so I will say that much. Thank you.
Councilman Brightwell?
I think when I first came on council back in, you guys made $1 million improvement in council in 2018, was it?
They've done that in the last 2 years.
Okay.
With refrigeration, the cabinets, the shelving, you know, all of the.
Okay. So let's just say since 2015, what has been your cumulative investment in this particular location?
Hey, Garrett, how much money have we spent on that?
I'm just trying to do the math real quick. We're about 3.7 million.
I'm sorry.
3.7 million.
3.7 million, and the fuel station would be 2.0 million.
Okay, 3.7. How does Kroger go about nationwide, in or anywhere, determining how best to make this location one of our star locations? What process do you go through to make sure you're serving these customers in this particular location as best that you can?
You want to field that one here?
So Mark Gamble, I'm with the headquarters. I run real estate for the Michigan division for Kroger. My address is 1014 Pine Street, Cincinnati. What we do is we continually look at, as this councilperson said, you know, what are we carrying, what are we not carrying, what does the community need? We go around and we look at the case lines. There's a certain amount of lifespan of those case lines. We continually update those. We continue to update the decor. We're going to redo the floor. The pictures that we sent that the planning director indicated weren't labeled, they're from Fenton, which is the most recent store that we've opened in the region. And when you see those pictures, you'll see what a great change the store is going to have with that polished floor. It's going to be completely different than it is now. Let me give you a couple of parentheticals. Number one, we have 120 stores in Michigan, and 84 of them have fuel centers. And of those 84, they contribute 15%. If y'all know what EBITDA is, right? Or some of y'all know what EBITDA is. EBITDA is earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. Basically, it is an index of profitability of the store. As we indicated earlier, the store does okay, but not great. And if we can add 15% to that EBITDA, it's going to make the store even better.
So, do you have, and I'm not sure I got an answer.
I agree.
How do you determine that this community is being served as best as Kroger can serve them?
Well, for one thing, it's a small store,
Okay,
quite frankly. You know, we're building a store in Royal Oak, which just got approved by our committee. It's gonna be 99,000, it's gonna be 103,000 square feet, I think. So it's gonna be a much bigger store. This is a smaller store, so we're limited on the curation. We can't have the extreme number of things that we could carry in other stores in this store. So we have to be very careful about what we curate in the store to make sure that we're carrying the things customers want. Obviously, what the customers are buying is gonna dictate what we carry.
so you have an inventory management process and what's moving.
Correct.
Oh, all right.
Correct.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I wasn't going to say anything, but I have to say something. When you talk about the millions of dollars that you put on this, into this store, and when we hear the complaints that we've been hearing year to year, you know what that tells me? You made improvements on stuff that should have been done. Like the maintenance and all of that. I continue to say, when are we gonna get it to look like the one on 8 Mile in Farmington or Livonia, whatever that city is? Now, when you talked about, this has nothing to do with the landlord, it's Kroger's. When they were here before, they were there in our audience. They refused to come up and talk to us. That's truly what it was. And we're just asking, when are we gonna get the attention to our Kroger like that Kroger? I would have loved to hear the landlord say, Kroger's is moving into the old Dress Barn location, because you could have expanded there. That's what I would have liked to see. And I said that before at that meeting almost 2 years ago, to say, move it to another location in that store and bring it up to par like your other locations. And when one of the gentlemen, you said, well, when we build a new store, we like to bring a gas station. Our store isn't new, so that takes that off the table, that argument. I continue to ask to see, when are we gonna get the looks of the store, like in the other parts of the suburbs, here? Because I've already said it, sometimes my community, we don't know the value of our dollar to demand better, and we just accept it at times. And I think we have accepted it from this Kroger's. And we need to see better improvements. The millions that you spent there tells me, because how horrible that store has been over the years, those are just things that you had to do to probably keep it open.
Or you could look at it like,
Well, I'm not finished, sir.
okay, all right.
Because you had your time. And I want to see you stay there. I want to see you there for the landlord. But I also want to see you make some changes like you have in the other cities and bring it here and show us. You took out a very nice wine section out of that store. We have people in this city who enjoys to take not me, but some like to go there and shop and get a nice bottle of wine. When I go over to the other store, there's a Starbucks inside that Kroger. It just seems more appealing, and it makes me want to spend my money there. Not when I go into a store where it stinks, or the shelves are not packed the way that they should. I don't want to see it done when we know it's coming up for a vote. We had 2 years to make this Kroger's better. If you really truly care, you probably were repeating what I said, but I'm one upset. But I just don't see the commitment from the Kroger organization, because like I said, they were there 2 years ago and didn't come up to the podium, and where we could have talked then to say, when are you going to make some improvements for our location? This is what we're here for, and we want to see it to be better. That's all. And I was just looking at some of the comments from that location on 8 Mile, where all the residents, this place is horrible, it stinks, or whatever. They got theirs. When are we gonna get ours?
Right. If I can speak to that, 8 Miles, I live right there.
You told us that 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's my home store. That fuel center proceeded.
I'm not talking about the gas. This isn't about the gas for me.
No, I understand that, but what I'm saying is, the investment in the fuel station gave the store the strength to purchase the additional property within the shopping center and to improve the whole thing.
But you don't
That
need
store
that to
was
give us fresh
rough
food.
for a while. I mean, I shopped there, I know. I know what you're pointing out at that 8 Mile store. That was a rough place, and it's a showpiece now. But that fuel station that they put in, it was me that got it approved. That had a monumental impact on customer
Well, how about
loyalty.
this? Let's try something different. Use, and unless it's privately owned, each store is, use the money from that to help build ours up. Try it different this time and say, the city doesn't have to give us something to make the store better. We're gonna show our commitment to the city.
Which we have, spending $3.7 million on the store. The reason why there's not a lot of product sometimes is because it's so shopped. There are people shopping this. I was there for,
Great, so give them a better store.
I was there for 3 hours today.
Give them
and the
another store.
Ma'am, I was there for 3 hours today and the store was packed. Packed.
And you coming from Cincinnati, I live here. I
I'm
see
here
it packed.
ma'am,
I
I'm
see
here
it
every
packed.
week.
I see it packed.
I'm here every
I see
week.
it packed all the
Hold
time.
on.
So give them what they deserve then.
3.7 million, when we usually average about 2 to 2.5 million. We put a lot of money in this store. We're continuing to put money in this store. And as is pointed out, the fuel center is gonna help us put even more money into the store.
So,
Fuel center is gonna
hold on.
fuel center gonna help them get their money back
So,
that they invested.
Coretta, I've been with the company for 3 years.
Sir,
And
are
prior
you
to my,
Kroger? Are you
I'm
Kroger?
sorry?
Are you Kroger? Let's talk about Kroger for a second. I've been waiting for my peers to speak. Sir, as I mentioned when you all came last time, I used your Cincinnati store that's down from the Premier Outlet Mall as a comparison to what I refer to as the haves and the have-nots. When we look at that store, even if we look locally, at the store in Madison Heights on 12 Mile off of Stevenson Highway. If we look at stores like, even the one on Woodward and Maple, if you look at the amenities of that store, they don't compare to what we're the have-nots.
Period.
And the only thing that I'm asking, I'm not against the gas station. I don't think many of my peers are against the gas station. All we're saying is, can we look at this thing comprehensively? And those were the exact words that I know that I used a couple of years ago. I appreciate you all making the improvements that should have already been done. But it's kind of hard to sell us on floors that should have been already cleaned, shelving that should have already been attached, as well as, you know, some of the other things that you did. I'm not discrediting that. What we asked for, what's the roadmap? What's the plan to add some of the other amenities that we don't have?
What do you want, sir?
I gave you baseline. Your store in Cincinnati, where you're based. You know what I'm talking about? The one where the fuel station also has EV chargers. The technology that's in that store. The offerings of, I mean, I know you have sushi, but the deli counters and some of the other things that some of our other stores have that we don't have. We don't have as many options. And as my colleague mentioned, some of the options we had were taken away. So it's not, we're not comparing apples to apples. We're not hearing what your plan is more long-term. So if you were to come in and say, to your point, we want to put in this fuel station, but also here's some coming attractions. Here's some things that we are going to add to the store to uplift it, to expand it. You know, you have real estate around the store that's been vacant. That's opportunity to expand.
Right.
So to me, we're not hearing that piece. And I'm gonna shift gears a little bit to you, sir. One of the things that, I have a very expensive wife. And she gets on me in Southfield on these types of stores that we have. You mentioned the furniture store. Is that a Gorman's? Is that an Arvan? Is that a Value City? What kind of furniture store is being added? So when we're talking about you uplifting and trying to get more traffic in your center, is this a high-end store? Is it a middle grade? Is it a low-end furniture store?
I think it's mid to higher end. That's my understanding. And the signage that they submitted,
What's the name again?
Detroit Furniture, the signage that they submitted and the layout that they're looking at, I mean, they're gonna do a major renovation. They are doing a major renovation in the store.
So I think, I'm trying to tie it all in.
Sure.
That, you know, we want the strip mall to be successful. We want to have, my colleague mentioned 2 years ago, that would be a prime location for a First Watch. You know, every First Watch that I go to has been an anchor to improve that strip mall.
They're busy.
And they're busy. And so when you know, for me, again, expensive wife, I go to First Watch, then we're hitting the store that's in Madison Heights Kroger, not the one that's here. So I'm just gonna say, I'm not sure if we are, if the things that are being brought up at the table, you know, what the community has said is resonating. Because you're focusing on flooring, shelving, but not food quality and options. That's what I'm hearing. I'm just trying to make sure comprehensively you're hearing. I haven't heard anybody say, no, we don't want a fuel station. We saying, okay, if that's what you need to do, cool. But Kroger, your pockets are deep. I've seen your store in Cincinnati. Now, of course, you're based there, so you probably don't have your flagships there, stores there. But what I haven't heard is that you have lost money on this store.
Each Kroger's.
Are you Kroger? I'm sorry, I'm trying to make sure. Okay, thank
He's
you.
a landlord.
Strip mall I was at the meeting with the group and I heard First Watch. And so I went to our broker and I said, let's talk to First Watch. And the broker said to me, there's no way in the world, Ron, that they will come to that center. So I did immediately after the meeting that we had, ask the broker. We weren't happy with the broker, so we changed brokers and we're seeing more activity at the store. You know, Kroger is committed to maintaining and improving that store as evidenced by the fact that they are doing the floor. And it's not a small undertaking. And I've been with the company 3 years, and Ivan Suit Shop is right next door to Kroger. Prior to my arrival, Ivan moved so Kroger could not expand into the dress barn. I've been here 3 years, as of June 14th. And with senior management here from Kroger telling you they're going to continue to upgrade the store and and provide products, whatever people want, they're going to provide.
But if you want a list of what we want, I can get you a list. So, I mean, I don't want to put you on, but what I haven't heard is, as we heard in other conversation earlier, we plan, sometimes the vision doesn't become reality. So we want to hear from you and kind of what's your roadmap for uplifting that store. You know, I'm not trying to hold you all hostage, but we have to serve our constituents.
Absolutely.
And if we're not getting the things that they need and making it more convenient for them, they're looking like, well, what are you doing?
Well, as the landlord, I can tell you that.
But I'm sorry, no disrespect. Again, you're not Kroger. I haven't heard them say anything. You're speaking on behalf of them. No disrespect. Now, I'm telling you what I'm taking right now.
No, I know, but you're looking for what other opportunities, how could they expand? I can tell you, you know, if the fuel center gets approved and the store improves profitability, we as the landlord would look at moving Ivan over into part of the old dress barn so they could expand.
But my peer has stated clearly, why does that have to be a determining factor to do what you need to do?
Every store operates on its own profitability.
I'm sorry.
Kroger doesn't.
I'm talking to you, but I'm not hearing Kroger.
Just like we heard earlier with the city budget, I mean, you have a budget, right, that you budget to. I mean, you talked about deep pockets. Well, we don't have unlimited resources. And each division, which is the Michigan division, gets allocated a certain amount of money, and then they have to be circumspect about how they spend it. So if there are things like this wine store, I can tell you, we're not gonna do Starbucks, all due respect, because we're eliminating Starbucks from most of our stores in terms of the new store program. But if you're looking for a wine store or a wine section, and if you're looking for an improved deli, those are a couple of things that I can pitch to the merchandising people and see what we can do. I mean, I can give you my email, and if you want to send me your list, I'd be happy to pitch it up to the senior management here in the division and see what we can do.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, there's no problem.
Council, any other questions at this time? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Carolyn,
They doing the same thing. They did with the program. Fire and police. They had a gas station, then they took it out. They used the gas station to gain revenue for the money.
Order. It's been properly moved by Council President Pro Tem Cole,
That's the
supported by Councilman Mandelo. All in favor? Oh, sorry, roll call. Roll call.
I think it's over.
Councilwoman Banks. Councilwoman Delaney. Councilman Brightwell.
Yes.
Councilwoman Haynes.
They're going in the closed session now.
Councilwoman Pro Tem Cole.
Yes.
Councilman Mandelbaum. Yes. Council President. Yes. So we are closed session.